we don't specify usually a height, but at least, I'd say at least 6 inches off the ground for the stump, just so it retains some structural integrity, I guess would be good. And beyond that, pruning, the dead branch stuff, a lot of trees, we don't have an issue with that. Certainly don't want to, it's the same reason, safety wise, don't want to have a dead branch fall on somebody. Nicole, do you have any input?
Hannah and I actually visited the site and I agreed with everything that needed to be done.
Okay, good.
Is that truly 4.6 feet of buffer?
Somebody with
a
I did look very intently at the trees though.
Okay.
4.6 square feet.
Yes, as Nicole is one of our newest members, but she also has a lot of experience job wise, actually, in tree and arbor related issues. With trees and determining like as profession, so that's an
Do you
excellent.
know who you're using? Yeah,
We have one estimate, we were going to get another one,
Okay,
yeah.
it's a good idea. There might be some business that like to, businesses that would like to compete and save you some money potentially. The same procedure though would need to apply to whoever you do choose, which is, no machines are at this point needs or allowed to come on site. And I don't think we specified any erosion control or anything necessary because of the scope of the work. Anything else for a condition that anybody wants to mention?
no, I thought it was fairly straightforward.
Hannah? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I did just draft something, not confirming the wetland. I would suggest not confirming the wetland boundary since we didn't really have like a specific boundary to confirm. And then also, just having all the cut vegetation being removed from the site and no stumping.
Right. Having had personal experience, not with the wetlands area, but with a tree company taking some trees down my property a couple of years ago and not specifying clearly enough to the person that was doing the work and being away when they did it, they chipped all the branches and just sprayed them out into the woods. Said, oh, they'll break up eventually. It's quite, but,
That's not gonna happen.
right.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Right, so yeah, just want to make sure they understand not to chip on site, basically.
They,
Or chip into the back of the truck is fine, if they want to drag around the front, that's fine, but yeah, not chipping into the, then just fine, okay. That's fine, anything else? No? Okay, so, we'll accept a motion from someone about the RDA and specify a negative if they wish.
So moved.
Yeah. Negative determination with any conditions that Hannah has just mentioned, and I'll second that.
can you repeat those conditions? Cause I didn't hear them.
Yeah, sure. Yep, and they'll be in all the paperwork too, but the conditions were, all the cut vegetation needs to be removed from the site. The work's gonna be done by hand tools. The tree removal will be limited to the dead tree 12 feet from the home and safety limiting of dead branches and no stumping shall occur.
Okay.
Okay, good, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. So in this case, a negative determination means you don't need to do any more paperwork with us. So that's a good thing to be negative in this case, if we're giving you a thumbs up, basically, to go ahead and get the work done. And if you want to let Hannah know that it's been done, she can check with me. You don't have to give her anything after the fact. Okay, just letting her know that it was done successfully is good, then she can mark it off that she, not something she needs to follow up on. But at your leisure, it's not specific, not very have to do it. So go ahead and get prices. Proceed as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. And you did. All right, next item on the agenda is a new hearing for a notice of intent for 30 Stone Street. Alteration of a buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland for the replacement of a septic system. Richard Llewellyn, is that perhaps?
Yes.
Great, all right, thank you, as the applicant, and David Darian, thank you, is the representative. Mr. Darian, if you'd like to proceed and if you want to come up too, you can, you're the applicant, so you have totally the right to.
Say this here.
So you can hear better, see better, whatever it is that you'd like to be able to do, you have front row seat there. No extra charge.
Good evening, my name is David Terry and I'm the applicant's representative for 30 Stone Street. The current system at the 30 Stone Street is failed Title V. The property is in the process of being changed hands. And the applicant is proposing to replace the existing system with a new one. The existing system is a septic tank with a leach field that to the south of the house or to the back rear of the
I was
house.
wondering where that was in the plan. Okay.
And the current leach field, it appears that over time, the offsite development has raised the water level somewhat in the area, so the leach field is pretty much at the edge of the wetland right now. The proposal is to abandon the leach field in place as allowed by Title V and remove the existing tank. Replace it with, there's a 1,000-gallon tank there now, replace it with a 2,000-gallon tank with a pump system that will be pumped to a raised system at the
Front edge of the area.
front of the lot, closer to the road. The problems with the site is that the only access to the septic tank is around the it would be the right side of the house or the west side, and hugging close to the house to excavate they'll go in and they'll pump the tank, and then go in with an excavator, pull the old tank out and dispose of it, and then reinstall a new 2,000-gallon tank.
Concrete.
And so the drawings say 1,500?
I thought he said it was 2,000.
Yeah, it's 2,000, but, two
I,
chambers, 1,500, 1,500 for the pump.
You're showing 1,500 and 750.
Hmm? Well, I don't, that's what the engineer wrote it up as.
So what the engineer wrote up is correct, and what you're stating might not be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
right, so.
All I know is it's gonna be big.
Bigger, for sure.
It would be installed at the same location, and then a force main would come out of the pump around the east side of the house. And going up to the raised system. The access, limited access on the right-hand side and to the rear, so they'll be hugging the house for construction. Once that's in, the force main will be 4 to 5 feet deep. And they have to cross over a water line or I think they encase it when they go over it, but it'll be typically 4 to 5 feet deep to be below frost. Anytime they get above that, they'll insulate it, and it'd be backfilled with sand and as prescribed. The intent is to do it as soon as possible. Conditions are dry now. When I flagged it in May, it was wet. It was in the towards the end of that 11 weeks of rain we had in the spring.
I
So
mean, the every Saturday rain.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there were 2 red maples that were in front of the house that were would have been disturbed by the trenching, so that they've already been removed.
I apologize for that, because I didn't know I had to have permission to cut down trees down.
When they're within a resource area, limitations of resource area, like 25 foot, do not
Yeah,
disturb.
they
area.
said anything within 50 feet of the wetlands. I said, that's the whole yard.
Sometimes that is the case, but properties are
But-
over time or.
But the contractor told me 4,000 for 2 trees. I cut them down for 1,100.
The temporary storage would be to the front of it, and all excess material that's not used will be disposed of off-site at an approved site.
Mhm.
I guess with that, I'll just open it to questions.
So the 2 trees they indicated on the plan that have been removed maples, just calling to the attention of the commission there, the 2 X circles to the, on this case, looking at the plan this way, thanks. Right side of the house, looking at the way it is, I noticed the left side as you approach the house from the front, but those are within the 25, well, one's, I'm trying to find the 2, there it is, yeah, they're both within the 25-foot buffer. Commission may want to consider requiring or requesting replacement trees since they were within the resource area and cut down without the knowledge by the applicant of the need to do some permitting.
So if you would come to us not having taken the trees out but mentioned that the line.
Yeah,
that
they
you're
were leaning
putting-
over the house too.
Right, well, for safety reasons or for whatever other reason, that like the sewer line had to go right through that area, it couldn't go around them or something like that.
Yeah, well, they told me it was gonna go right between it.
And it would.
I'm from Florida, we don't have all these silly,
Well, the trees may have been impacted so negatively by a line going, what looks like two fairly close together trees, that it might have been determined that they would have not survived the work that needed to be done to put the trench in, but since they were done inside the resource area without permission, sometimes what we'll do is we'll look at a replacement of some sort, not certainly the same. How tall are these trees?
about 80, 90 feet tall.
They're big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we certainly don't look for full size, one-to-one full size replacement, but usually there's a,
They were only about 15 feet tall when she moved in.
right, yeah, we look for.
She's been there for 52 years.
Right, or something.
And there was no wetlands back then.
Yeah, I think this Stone Street is one of the busier streets for sewer line in my tenure on the board. Almost every year, somebody comes forward to us that has septic system replacement along that street or the one that parallels it. What's the next one over? That parallels it? Is it?
Beach Street,
Beach Street, Beach
yeah.
Street, yeah. Those two streets have a lot of
Well,
low water, high water level issues.
Right.
Maybe related.
It's all coming down the hill ever since they built on the hill, more water comes down.
Right,
Now I got problems behind the property line. The trees back there are getting soggy and falling over.
yeah, that does happen and, yeah, okay, I don't want to bring that up, sure, because I can't do anything right about that now. What, the commission would have to say about this? What would you like to ask for questions or?
I have only one. I'd like the tank size numbers on the drawings to sync.
Right, that should be accurate. So if you can verify whether the engineer is correct.
It's got 2,000, 1,500 and 750, and there's a 10% delta.
He had, I know, I talked to the engineer and I'm not sure about the numbers, but he initially was talking about a bigger tank and and apparently the Bellingham regulation didn't allow, and he went to the,
Yeah, well, the information on the drawings conflicts with each other.
Okay.
We could just,
Yeah, so whatever the engineer, you need to go back to the engineer basically and make sure that when you resend another set of plans that are correct, that
right,
they corrected, that they have the correct information from the engineer that you're gonna be building by, because we want the plans to match what's actually done on site.
Yeah, well, they told me it was
Whatever the numbers are.
2,000 with the
2,000 or
1,500 and the 500.
500, whatever that comes,
Yeah.
2,000, as long as Steve's pointed out, there are three numbers on there, it sounds like, and they're in conflict with each other, so you need to verify that with the engineer,
Okay.
that's a requirement, then you can resubmit corrected plans with whatever numbers are correct
okay,
to Hannah, along with anything else.
the reason I kind of fuss about it is this situation has a fair amount of emergency storage because it's pumping uphill. So that math should be,
Yeah, that's a good point, so when you're this close to wetlands and high water areas, Steve's pointing out, if you're doing a pump situation, the pump fails, you want to have some reserve capacity until you get the pump fixed and get things going and flowing the way they should.
I think typically they're designed for 3 days storage.
Right, yeah, and that's probably correct, but with what size tank, 1,500, 2,000? With the 500, 1,500, whatever the corrected numbers are, I'm sure the engineer knows the code requires for a pump system. But
Okay,
as you said, perhaps 3 days storage for case power. That's a good point.
now the numbers on the plan are what the Board of Health have approved, Designs are
making
there.
sure the numbers don't match on the plan.
So if the Board of Health missed that,
okay,
we might have caught it. There seems to be some
Okay.
discrepancy in the numbers. We just want to get them right. You
okay,
can certainly let the Board of Health know what. the
so
correct
everything should be
choice is.
consistent,
Absolutely.
The numbers on the tank go to 2,250
right,
with the title underneath the tank at 2,000.
okay. Okay,
For the 2250 is 1,500 plus 500 plus.
It has two chambers and it says 1,500 gallon and 700.
50 pumping,
Right. Okay, so not
and then
1,500,
beneath it,
500,
which is
1,750.
2,250. I
Okay.
did
And the number.
This
underneath
needs
is-
to be accurate.
Yeah, okay.
in sync.
All right, yeah, and I would suggest that you let the Board of Health know, since they already checked off on this.
Right.
That there was a discrepancy in the numbers, they've been corrected, here's the correct numbers that we're going to put in, because they'll probably inspect it and make sure that it's correct as well, and if they see something different on the plans, then you don't want to have to deal with it when you're in the middle of installing, you want it all fixed ahead of time. Okay, erosion control measures seem to be adequate for everyone's purview.
Yeah,
So that's one of the things we check. What thinks you about trees? Any thoughts about replacing the two trees, maples?
They were maples.
They're two red maples, you said?
They were red maples.
Two very large.
You know how, what the diameter was roughly?
He said about 80 feet tall, you think, 60 to 80 feet tall?
About 60 to 75.
Okay.
I had a 57-foot lift and I couldn't get to the top.
They're probably 32 inch trees.
It's good size. So,
The lumps are still out there.
yeah, so,
Oh, yeah.
in the past, Hannah, do you remember, you did this at the last meeting of Reporters with another applicant, talking about replacements, and there was a thing in the bylaws for
I can give you a
Yeah,
picture of them.
there's a chart
6 inches.
for that.
Yeah,
I can think.
we have in the bylaws for the town, just so you know, we're looking up, there is a replacement size spreadsheet, not even spreadsheet, chart, which indicates, for a certain size tree, up to a certain size tree diameter, you replace with this size. And with another size, you're not going 1-to-1, you're not asking you to put in a 24 or 32 inch tree, but you might be putting in a 6 inch, for example, for something that big, as opposed to if your tree that you took out was a 12 inch diameter tree, you might be putting in.
It's 1-to-1.
Yeah, but where would you want to put them? You don't want to put them by the house before.
No, I see that would have to be determined to be in a place that doesn't cause more problems. We don't want that.
Yeah, and right now with the
Yeah.
wetlands everywhere,
And,
not really any
and,
place to put a tree.
and in fact, if a maple was already suffering in that, area, we wouldn't necessarily require a replacement of maple. You wouldn't want to plant, we don't want to put something in that would fail. Because it's the wrong conditions for it.
My personal opinion, Mike, is, more of a question how necessary it is.
Well, this is discretionary.
So much of this project, the existing house is well within past the 25 already.
Right.
That anything, to this gentleman's point, anything we plant 5 to 10 years from now is just gonna present an additional problem.
Potentially, yeah, if there's not another place on site. So yes, just to be clear, we do, while this is discretionary, it is in the regulations, wetlands regulations. So that if we decide we require it, it's in place. It's not like we're just arbitrarily saying, plant more trees. There's something in writing in place that's been approved by the town and so forth. But it is discretionary, especially for anything over or larger, as it says in here, larger than 10 inch. It's a discretion of the commission to reach equivalent. And
There's the two trees right over here.
okay, that's helpful. Oh, yeah, pretty big, so yeah, very tall.
Yeah,
So-
you can.
Yeah, you saw it, okay. Thank
Right
you.
in the lawn.
To the left side here. But
And the
if,
trees on the other side of them,
right,
they're leaning now already in the wetlands, so
well,
they're gonna be coming down.
depending on the project, the scope, where it is located in town, we have at times determined, although some of the applicants taken out trees or requested to take out trees as part of a development project or whatever. Sometimes there's no place else on the site to plant them. If it's already forested, for example, they're not gonna ask you to cut down more trees to plant a tree in the middle of a clearing that you just created. That's silly. And not necessary. So if it's possible to do a replacement on your property in a location that a tree, A, would succeed, B, not cause in the next few years, as Steve pointed out, 10 years, whatever. It's the same kind of problem. It's gotten big enough now, it's potentially gonna hit the house or something like that. And where it would succeed in growing, if there's no suitable site on the property, then the location on the property, then we wouldn't require it. I don't know, since the two of you were out there, Hannah and Nicole, what are your thoughts on this?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Nicole, she went out to.
Never mind, you were the
earlier
previous.
one. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
So Hannah, you saw it though, yes?
Yeah, I
What do
mean,
you think?
it is kind of a pretty tight area. I mean, you could put them in the yard, but there's not really any place in the wetland area.
So the wetlands are totally,
I mean, there's some like vegetation, like growing back in, but everything is really tight. There's only like a couple feet until you hit the tree line, so,
On the sides of the house, as
Yeah.
well as the back. The
Yeah.
back doesn't look like a very large yard in the back.
no.
Yeah, and as I said, that's one of the wetter areas.
Most of the
It
yard.
looks like he's only 60 feet to the property line and probably 15 or 20 to the edge of the wetland from the house. Is that accurate?
On the backside.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah. The wetlands from where the septic tank is now is probably 25 feet, 30 feet.
Right.
The,
Back to the property beyond that.
yeah, but we own a property behind it, beyond that, but it's all wet now.
Yeah.
Because basically where the leach field is,
Yeah.
that's where the wetlands start.
Right.
But that's been there for 52 years.
Right.
And
It's just
once a
strange.
week on Thursday nights, you used to have anywhere from 12 to 24 people come over to play cribbage. She's never had a problem with the leach field or the septic. But for 52 years, we didn't have any problems,
And things do change.
except they haven't fixed the road in 62 years.
Did we recommend the blueberry bushes?
Yep, yeah, there was some shrub cutting as well, so I recommended they do a couple replacement shrub.
Now, I
plantings.
understand the shrubs that are put in, but they're not blueberry. I haven't seen them.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
wasn't-
find
I
blueberries
wasn't
are not,
really
they didn't
sure.
have anybody, had them.
Okay, if you could let Hannah know what was put in, because again, in this case, the plans of record that we have
Yeah.
indicate blueberry bushes. If there weren't blueberry bushes and something else has already been planted, it's a suitable type of plant to do, number one, to do well at that location, whether you.
Do you know what it was? What you put in?
She does. What was that plant I
Are they
put in?
native?
Clethra.
Clethra?
So is that really wet where you put them?
Well, they got flags there for wetlands. It was wet back after the rain. It hasn't been wet since.
Well, blueberries actually don't like to be super wet. The Clethra is a native plant and it is like a wetland species.
And everything else will grow back up anyway, because I just cut down the brush.
Do a little bit more checking on it just to make sure that's okay, because sometimes they're not native like mixes.
I
Okay.
believe what's happening in that area is there's a wetland on the opposite side of the wall, and it's flooding into there, and it's backwatering up into here, and we're doing it enough now, so you are getting wetlands vegetation back there.
The request from Hannah is that you let her know specifically from the tags on the plants, what it is that you did plant. She's gonna determine whether it's a native or non-native species, subspecies,
Okay.
whatever, just to get the specs on exactly what it is. If there's an issue with what you have put in, we'd have to deal with that, down the road and see if that's,
I figure another 2 weeks, everything will grow back up anyway.
Yeah, well, we like to put in things that will not only do well, but good for habitat, for more wildlife, for example. That's one of the reasons the blueberry bushes, if they're in the right location, are a good thing, because they provide long-term improvement to the area for wildlife in this case, as well as doing well and so on. So if this buffer is good and it's the right kind of, it is the native version of the species that we're looking for. We don't like to plant invasive species in, trees shipped in from another country, for example, that might look pretty, but were not native to the area, are not what we want to see in wetlands areas for replication. You can put them somewhere else in your yard, we don't stop you from doing that, but we don't do those as replication species, replacements. Okay, so we'll check on that. Anything else? Yes,
I put in my memo some recommended special conditions that I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at.
but I'm not printing out, you got them there, you wanna just.
Sure, yeah,
Both the applicant as well as.
you guys had mentioned already the continuous construction barrier, silt fence. Typically, when wetlands are this close, we'll often put in the split rail fence with the no disturb signs. I didn't know if that was something that you guys would want in any locations, or if it was just fine to leave it be.
Is the reason for that it's an indicator?
Yeah,
Okay.
just to prevent future encroachment.
Especially
still
on sites where there has been negative impact, those signs that in the past, someone, previous property owners, current one, whatever, has used that for a dumping area for grass clippings and lawn
Okay.
leaves and so forth, as well as potentially other debris, which is not breakdown biodegradable. But I'm not sure, having seen the site, whether that's something where the wetlands line is right at the tree line and it's clearly visibly
We usually
demarcated.
put that on the 25 and that's in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking with this
It's a long
tight a lot, that
Yeah.
it might be,
Currently, on the, it would be the west side or the right side as you're facing the house. The wetland, the bulk of the wetlands in that area, the area that floods, a big portion of it's in Midway. And there's a stone wall along there, so
property line stone wall? Is that
Stone
stone wall outside the property
The
line?
property line is the stone wall. It goes all the way around the property, all the way up in the back. It's, the stone wall is the property line.
And on the other side, it's
Half her yard is in Medway. She has to pay taxes to them too.
on the other side, it's pretty tight between the house and the edge of. You really, it's not really too much you can do over there.
Right, well, it is again a commission,
Mr. Chair. I would
discretionary
propose that we forego the split rail.
with the badges, okay.
Usually that is something that we apply, especially to development projects. There's a burden of expense that comes with it. This is septic replacement. There's already a hefty expense coming with that.
Oh, it's gonna be a big one.
I would concur with that.
Okay, any other thoughts on not necessarily the fence, but anything else?
I
related?
also think
Okay.
you're not really seeing a lot of places for trees to be planted.
No, I mean, so I already had a sense on, we don't have, I mean, unless somebody wants to make a motion to add that as one of the conditions that the board is in consensus of opinion is that that would not be something we need to pursue at this point.
Have we asked residents to put just the badges on some trees in the area, just for future?
They don't have to put them on posts, but we're putting a fence, that's a good place to put them, but we have occasionally we mostly have them put them on posts, separate posts if necessary.
But not, you wouldn't tag a tree, but.
I won't say we've never done that. I think in my recollection, there have been one or two cases where we might have, for some reason, decided to do that. It's usually,
Down like central Bellingham where they had that huge riprap slope. They couldn't really put posts in.
right. Right.
The reason I bring it up is just future owner, doesn't understand that there's wetlands there. I don't know, we provide those tags for free. And if we just had some,
The question is whether that would be correct to put them where they
Correct.
put them. If we only want them to be put at 25-foot undisturbed area and not 15 feet in or 50 feet out, wherever the trees are. that they
Okay.
Put them on, and I don't know what that's the case. It might be that some of the property line indicates that, all right, is good for that and some isn't. We also usually do that just on trees. I remember the one time that I can think of, it was a long run of things in the wooded area and it didn't seem to make sense to put a fence in. A lot of reasons. The property line of, I'm sorry, the tree line was pretty straight and right about in the right area, so it worked well for it, but we may have put in like 20 or something like that. It was a fairly long line of them so that you could see them.
Okay.
That was the only time I can think of it. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there aren't really any like good trees along
Yeah.
the edge. That would be.
Sounds like a fairly small lot
Seems
like
like-
this, I think
Take that out.
probably not necessary.
Okay, so no tree plant, no restoration plantings for the tree, just those two shrubs,
To
native
verify that they're
variety.
native and
Um,
acceptable for.
and
that
have
area.
them confirm with me, and then, yeah, I think that was the
The
primary
motion
stuff.
shows already in
other
there,
than
so.
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And notify, in this case, you do need to be notified
Yeah.
after the fact that it's been done, so she can inspect. Hannah's, one of the order conditions at the end, it's the standard order conditions, you let her know that you've done the work, she can come out. When the erosion controls are acceptable for removal, like if you have to seed an area, you want the grass seed to go start to take before you do that. Then she would indicate to you, go ahead and pull the erosion control out, because we do not want to leave in silt fences or straw wattles or anything like that long-term. Beyond when they need to be left in place, but that can be verified with Hannah and there's nothing else. I'll accept the motion for this notice of intent.
So moved.
I didn't make a motion, I just said I'll accept one. You
Oh.
You have to make a motion. You know a little work here, come on, you know how to make a motion.
To continue it.
Well, we would need to, oh, that's right, yes, plans aren't correct. Yeah, we can't, well, we could accept that as a condition if there's just,
Did approve it, so I just. I'm
they
not
approved something, I don't know what they.
Yeah, they approved the same plan as that we have, so I don't know.
I'll entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions, which will be available subject to the revised plans being provided to the Conservation Council. Do a trade.
Corrected order, corrected plans, right? Okay, is that a clear enough motion for someone to want to second it? or
I'll
do you
second
want
that.
clarification?
I thought
Okay.
that was very clear.
Is
More
that
clear
clear?
than I.
Everybody clear? The order of conditions will come forward. Plans will need to be provided, corrected plans to you before the order of conditions is signed off on or released to you. And the notice of intent is you're accepting it. So you said approved, notice of intent with the order of conditions. And we have a second. Any other discussion about that? Questions? There. Good. Okay.
And did you get the note, the file number?
Yes, yeah, yeah, and they didn't
I-
have any technical comments, so I was like, okay,
I
good.
called them yesterday morning and they.
The DEP, right. Okay, that's good. So we have both Bellingham as well as the DEP file numbers. Okay, no other questions? I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous vote. So you are good for the notice of intent. You provide the plans to Hannah, correct it, and
I can get you an electronic copy tomorrow and in a hard copy, we'll mail it to.
Sounds good.
get that.
and then we would
Yeah,
be
that's
in position to sign off the notice of intent digitally.
Yeah, potentially. I don't have it. I didn't have it.
Yeah, right. So within, you can contact Hannah and she'll tell you when the notice of intent has been officially signed by us and can be filed with the, registry.
Recording with the
But
registry.
thank you, report of the registrar.
Well, the recorded's 10 business days after the order.
After we issue it.
Is
Yes,
issued, so.
Right, yeah. So which will be when we get the plans and
they-
we'll be moving along. It's not like you have to wait a long period of time. It's processing it. You've been. So you're good to go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good luck. Okay, moving on, that then was the MBTA RDA for the MBTA commuter rail right which has been before us a number of times. And we have received a request from the applicant to continue to the meeting of August 27th. To turn to that. Because they are not able to be here tonight. Don't have any progress, don't know,
I
they're
don't
not
know.
on track, whatever it is.
Requested a continuance, so I don't know.
Yeah, I gave them pretty clear idea of what they needed to bring us. I just don't think they can bring it to us. I think that's the problem.
Ever or just not now? Okay, well, we won't let them railroad us into continuing this indefinitely, that's for sure.
Thanks, good one, Mike.
Anyway, thanks.
So moved.
All right, so we will, we have a motion to continue this to the evening of August 27th at 7 p.m. Seconded by James. Thank you very much, Ariane James. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I will ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, unanimous vote. Moving along. We have continued hearing for notice of intent for off Lake Street, Prospect Hill Village. Construction of a 129 unit townhouse development, which will impact bordering vegetated wetland, bank, land under water bodies and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area. Bill Petrosi, Wall Street Development is the applicant, and Paul McManus from Tech is the representative who is representing tonight. Present. Solo and on his own, but that's okay. He's well versed. He knows what he's doing.
Lou said he was gonna be on Zoom and he said Rob was gonna be on Zoom, but I haven't, nobody's come on Zoom. so-
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Petrosi was, he actually texted me a little while, thought he might be here. I just texted him back and said, you know, we're on. So I'm not sure what his status is. He was intending to be on my Zoom, and also Rob Truex, the engineer. Let me. But I can start without them, obviously.
Hannah had some observations which she made to the board, which I meant to print, but my printer got to the point where the ink went from like the dark to this, and then I ran out. So I didn't have time to replace it, so I didn't print that document, but, oh, thank you.
I sent it to applicant as well, so.
Okay, great. So, yeah.
Wait,
Have you had a chance to see this, Paul? This is the August 13th conservation meeting note from Hannah to Lou, to Lou. Oh, you
I just
copied.
sent that this afternoon.
I was gonna say that was, I did, I believe I have that.
Cause we had spoken about.
This is some of the concerns that we've
August
had,
13th, yes.
which were expressed in other meetings. This isn't the first time any of these, I think, have been brought before us. Or we've been made aware of, but they still appear to be outstanding / maybe in process with you guys. But we need to be updated on that, I think, as a first step. And I don't know if you want to do a couple of points there on that. I think there are 4, at least, initial ones that Hannah has, and the board may have some additional concerns or questions, but I think this is a good starting point. Do you have a copy of that? Do you want to look at it?
I do, I got it, I got
I
it.
know you've got it on short notice, but again, these are not brand new issues. I don't think any of them, so maybe you could just look through them, and if you have something to say about them, I guess let us know which one you're talking about, and we'll do it that way. If you don't have a response for something because you're not gotten it in advance, and
Yeah, well, I think I can, at least in part, add something to this. So Hannah was looking at, the commission had requested, a single plan that showed the, buffer zone, riverfront, impacts, the plans, I'll call it primary plans, clearly identify in detail, with the crossings, and that sort of thing. So those impacts you already had. But what you didn't have is kind of that master comprehensive plan of showing the various buffer zones. So Rob Truax did prepare that plan. And that was submitted some time ago, I'm not sure when. So that plan you do have, but Hannah's commenting that, to her, it was unclear, what all the impact numbers are. So.
And I go back to what we had discussed, I think it was the last meeting, if not the meeting before that, where we had numbers on Rob's Truax's report for impact areas, but we had no sense of relating that to where the plans were. And this is basically a reinforcement of that, where we have the plans, but we don't have it spelled out, okay, the 1,572 square feet of impact or BADW, for example, like here.
So kind of, there was just a couple specific I printed it out and kind of showed those locations. And I talked about the specific locations that I was unsure if they were included in this. And in reference to, most of the wetland impacts, we do have most of those, but some of them were still kind of unclear, like the NOI form and then the new updated bylaw form that we were given. Some of those numbers were not the same, so I'm assuming that the bylaw form would be the most accurate, but it also didn't have the impacts to bank or temporary impacts to bank or land under water bodies for the Hogue Brook crossing, which was something BSC had mentioned. And that just kind of wasn't included in the updated package. And then there were a couple areas, I guess I could just show you here. Which I've, described in words, but I couldn't figure out if that had been included in any of the impact numbers. And I think this area also was not included in any of the impact numbers in terms of.
This is the impact area
Yep.
plan.
Yes. So that was those are the two that it didn't seem like those were included in the impact numbers.
And is this the one where you say, I think a couple of locations were from and zone impacts were missed, including the 0 to 25 and the 25 to 50 impact in the soil?
Correct.
And the impacts to the riverfront from the roundabout.
Yep.
Between the B and C and D series wetlands. Okay.
I mean, I just looked at it in like a PDF viewer and kind of, did the scale and it didn't look like they didn't have arrows pointed to them and it didn't look like they were included in another one.
Yeah, my understanding when he did this is that in each case you have areas on both sides of the road. In this one, he's got the arrow pointing to this area, but my understanding is that, the arrow should have kind of.
That's what I thought, but I did like do it in the PDF viewer, so that's why I was like, that it doesn't look like it quite adds up.
Because I know when he was calculating, he talked to me when he was calculating, and we kind of went along and said, this area over here, like the area you described between the A and the C.
Yep.
And I do recall discussing with him, there's, it's on both sides, so. So my understanding is, I didn't do the calcs, Rob did.
Yeah, I was hoping.
But my understanding is that those were included. They're clearly acknowledged. And he has it, as I said, in each case on the other side, has the arrow pointing to the other side of the road. Probably the arrow perhaps should have split or something. I'm not sure how you'd show that, but I believe those were in fact included in his tallies, because we did.
The simplest thing to do is just confirm that with Rob when we can reach Rob. If he comes online in the next couple minutes, fine, but if not, then we should get that confirmed if the numbers were included. If they weren't included, then they should be, and how did that change things? And then if the arrows need to be split to show both sides of the road, from what I'm hearing slash not seeing, that's like, I can interpret from what you're saying, I don't even hold up the plan. If that would satisfy that, is that,
This is a whole, overall site plan.
Yep, yeah,
so does that cover
One.
as far as.
the concern on the one there?
If you read, Hannah, can I take a peek at that version? Is,
This is
The
just.
one
I
that
just
we have-
highlighted it. I just corrected it moving forward.
I just want to protect one thing,
We see one street.
that's the same. Can you clean the font up so you can actually read it?
I'm sorry?
Can you clean the font up so you can actually read it? None of this all through here is legible.
Well, these are, I mean,
And some of these descriptions blend. I think if it just shuts the bold off, it'll take care of it.
yeah, I'm not sure, because the commission had asked for one plan
Right.
that showed all of this, and this is, I don't know, what it's 100, 200 scale. I mean, all of that is on the 40 scale plan, so I'm not sure we can, make those details
It's
legible.
clear in other places where the font's a little different.
I don't know what to say, I mean, obviously the plans need to be readable, if they're merged plans, one's overlapping another, and basically the same area has a description from one of the BVW of the say plans versus the,
Well,
pool or whatever.
the basic issue is that, you know, we're taking something, I mean, it's all one continuous figure in the CAD. And you generate the 40 scale plans and do the grade. He was pointing to grade lines over here where the grade lines are fairly tight at the replication area. And that's just happens when when you plot at the scale. This is 1 inch equals 120 feet. But I don't know if it's possible to put it all on one sheet and get those details. The font for the impact areas he made large for the purposes of this plan. I mean, this is really a single use sheet. So as I said, I
Meaning that at that scale, you really should only have one descriptors, a set of descriptors for things like just looking at one aspect of it, when you say single use.
yeah, and certainly to look at the details of the grading, you'd want to look at the 40 scale plans. And that's,
And the part that should be legible on there, I think it is, just in terms of like pulling out where the impact numbers are.
So if it was gonna be color coded,
More than one street crossing.
Yep, so they didn't include the wetland impact numbers on this. They only included the buffer zone and riverfront impact numbers on there. So the crossing for Oak Brook, which is the sewer main crossing, and the crossing for that's over the existing, crossing for the roadway is the other one, but they don't have those impact numbers are on the other plan sets. And described other than the land under water bodies and potential bank impacts. Those are in the other plans, but these ones specifically call out the buffer zones and the riverfront ones, those were what I was more confused about from the original plans.
yeah, so the buffer zone was tallied. The request was basically show us where your tally comes from for the buffer zone and riverfront.
Right.
And that's what this is. And as I said, that's the big font on this figure. Because that, as I said, that was the purpose of the figure.
And it looks like we have Rob Truax on now. I just asked him to unmute.
Thank you.
Rob, welcome.
Good
How are you?
evening. Sorry I'm late.
Yep, okay, so we were just getting to the point where we said, gee, I wish Rob was here because he could answer this question, so. Paul, you want to raise the question since you were.
Yeah, so Rob, Hannah was asking on, we're looking at your impact area plan. Where you called out the various buffer zone and riverfront impact areas.
Yeah.
And there's a couple spots where, for example, on the roundabout, as Hannah calls it, leading from the main development out towards Lake Street, You have, you have buffer zone impact called out, 45,000 square feet. But your arrow only goes to one side of the road. And my comment was, I know when we talked, you and I talked about this, we talked about both sides. So the question is, and that it's at that location and then a little bit further south. It's the same, she's highlighted the same question.
The pink is the only section that I thought wasn't included.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Just,
Little section was, I couldn't, that was like, I can't tell if that was a little into the 25 foot,
yeah,
but.
it's just a little sliver there.
Yeah, that was back. there.
So the question, the question essentially is, you have an arrow at each of those points along the road, proposed road, you have an arrow, you have a call out number, area number, but you have an arrow that goes only to one side of the road. Does the call out number relate to just that one side of the road or to both sides of the road? Do you
It's
follow?
yeah, no, that call out number relates to that whole hatched area. It's on, so that's there's a 25 to 50, then there's the 50 to 100.
Right, it's more the riverfront, the outer riverfront area.
The riverfront includes both sides of the road.
Okay,
Yeah, the riverfront one where it says 100 to
The
200,
numbers not work.
that's the whole area, both sides of the road.
The 200-foot outer riparian there is attached.
Yeah.
yeah, that was the 200-foot outer riparian isn't hatched, and then when I had like gone over it, the other two hatched areas did.
Yeah,
look
there's a-
up close to that number, but it looked like that section wasn't included.
No, it's included, that's all part of it. It's just an overlap with the hatching. Cause some of that's the other, 25 to
Hatch,
50
then it's not an
buffer as
overlap.
well as the riverfront.
Which area?
So Rob, there was also a question, about on this particular figure, which is if 1 equals 120. About the fact that a number of the lines and numbers and notations are essentially not readable at this scale. And my comment was, I'm not sure that you can get those to be legible at this scale. What's your, is that an accurate statement by me?
What detail are you looking for? I'm not sure what you're saying. So
Well, the
really just trying to-
example that one of the commissioners was pointing to was the grades on the contours at the replication area. And they are, there's no question at this, on this
Yeah.
figure, there's no way you're gonna be able to read those.
The purpose of this plan wasn't to provide the detail of the actual work within that area, but to direct you. So you knew where to go look and what that disturbance was. You'd have to go to the 1 inch equals 40 sheet to get the detail. This was really just to direct you around the site where all these impacts are. It wasn't the purpose of, okay, here's an impact.
Do
we're
we
gonna
have the
blow it
first
all up
scale
for you.
for all those areas?
Oh, yeah,
This was-
certainly have that all.
Or someone else wanted to see that area that he's pointing to on this plan, he could go to the 4 scale version of that fairly quickly and easily and.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Just go to the grading sheets and you
Yeah.
can get the detail of that.
Yeah, everything that's on here, except for, these call out impact areas appears on individual 40 scale sheets.
Correct.
Based on the size of the site, obviously there's a half a dozen grading plans that you need to look to see it all. I mean, it's just the only way to be able to get all the information in a manageable form.
Yeah, this was more like a key sheet type setup to give people direction of where these areas are on the overall site.
Heard most of what he said, he's gonna speak up a little more. Okay, Marianne, do you want to mention again the 0 to 200 or Hannah, the non-hatched section? Because Rob was saying that there's an overlap of some hatching, but you're talking about there not indicating any hatching, so it's not an overlap area, it's a missing area. A 200-foot area from the riverfront, outer riverfront area?
She's gonna share.
Okay, we're gonna share, hang on, we're gonna share something maybe visually.
Talking about the area south of the rotary that is the great ones.
Yes. That was the section I was talking about.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
It was this section over here.
Okay, so to the left side of the rotary, yeah, left side, was that south? Where's my, there's a arrow there.
Yeah, so that's the 100 foot. There's not showing the that.
So where's the nearest hatched section, just to see is that?
So-
Yeah, could you ask your question again?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yep, so the riverfront impacts are pointing to over here, and it looks like this section is hatched out. That's all in the riverfront. And then this section didn't have
Oh.
any hatching. And then when I had just kind of estimated it using the area tool on here, it didn't seem like it had picked up this section.
We'll have to double check that. I'm not sure we picked that up. We may have missed it.
Okay,
Right,
just
yeah,
because, just
sure.
because it is riverfront, so I want to make sure that that's a correct number.
Do you want to show the other section?
No.
In the top. But. So that area between the 200 foot outer riparian and 100 foot buffer isn't patched. So is that included? I'm still work on it in there.
Oh, for the swale
No.
or,
There's the other riparian.
Oh. yeah,
Okay, yeah, it's
yeah,
just
I'm
a,
not sure.
there's a triangular-ish shaped area that's by, I don't know if it's a parking lot or what that is.
This,
A
the
detention basin?
detention
Yeah,
basin.
sorry,
for-
detention basin.
Yeah,
Got it. I believe it's inside. So that,
oh,
that.
this
is
shows,
not-
this one points to it for basin 4 riverfront impact.
I thought that was pointing to the hatching area.
Well, the tip of that triangle for the arrow does seem to be right in the middle of the hatched area.
Does say riverfront for basin 4.
What's,
And then this one says riverfront swale.
okay,
I mean, I really. And then. I'm not sure now.
we checked the math on that, okay. So what should it be, 20, 45 plus? Okay.
Tanner, I did not hatch any of the impacts for the riverfront. Those hatches are in the, that's the 50 to 100 buffer.
Okay,
I just pointed to where it is.
yeah. I think I didn't notice that one over there. I had just noticed this section because I just saw that there was no arrow pointing over there, and I did like did a mock-up. on
Yeah, I
it.
may have missed that. I'll double check the numbers. It is a small area.
Okay,
So the one above the 4 housing units, near the top of what's visible on the plan right there, yeah.
Yeah.
That small area and.
that one looks like it's explicitly called out at least. Riverfront basin 4 impact.
Well, that's assuming that number is the correct number. If we're missing that section that's within 200 and that hasn't been counted.
That's in the
That's another-
basin.
That's another
clear.
couple hundred square feet.
Yeah,
You probably more than that.
Yeah, it's about 3,600. So it doesn't add up to 12,000.
All right, so let's make sure Rob understands that area so you can verify it. So I don't know whether you circle it or highlight it. Rob, are you seeing what
Yep.
we're seeing here for a numbers recalculation? Do you want
Yeah,
us
I
to
know-
circle it or show you with the cursor, what the area specifically we're looking for, that the numbers don't seem to add up in this detention basin area?
No,
No, that adds up. That's the 12,203 square feet of riverfront disturbance right there.
Including the non-hatched area that is within the 200 foot.
Correct.
So even though it wasn't hatched, it's been counted.
I didn't hatch any of the I didn't hatch any of the buffer. I was running out of too many hatches overlapping, so I did not even hatch the riverfront areas. I just pointed to them.
But you're saying you counted them.
So the other one, when you go back where she was pointing earlier, that hatching for the roadway that's on both sides. Right there, that hatching you're seeing there, yes, that's all 50 to 100 buffer, that's all the buffer zone, that's not the riverfront. I just pointed to where the riverfront is, I didn't hatch the riverfront disturbance areas. It was overlapping and it was getting too confusing.
The plus, the plus hatching, series of plus signs is buffer zone.
Correct.
Proposed buffer zone alteration, which in many cases overlaps with riverfront, but the riverfront is not hatched. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
So this plan does not represent both buffer and riverfront in its completely, or in total. It's buffer zone primarily, all buffer zone, but some riverfront where it overlaps, but some riverfront where it's not overlapping is not shown explicitly, but it has all been counted. Is that right, Rob?
Correct.
So if the numbers jive,
18,000.
I don't know, you're getting 18,000 for.
I mean, I'll do a double check on it for you, but yeah, I'm pretty confident with the numbers on there.
Okay, so he said he'll double check on those, but.
Yeah.
So if we
We're
wanna,
not afraid of color.
that's true, I didn't think about color.
I don't want to use
I kind
that
of thought the
pluses.
yeah, I kind of thought that we'd see on this particular plan more color and less hatching, because hatching is, as Steve pointed out, once you start overlapping and even. Paul's pointed out today that, get to a certain scale and things all start to blur together when you're compressing so much information onto a 1 to 120, or 1 to 100 rather. Okay, so that's point number one. Number two, to keep moving along here. You've indicated there are no alternatives for the proposed basin number 4 or the drainage swale that could reduce impacts to the 25-foot no disturb zone and the 100-foot riparian zone. But we did not see any alternative analysis done for those items. Previous alternative analysis plans from August 2024 initially focused on multiple roadway layouts when the Hogue Brook was still identified as a river. Then the 3 alternatives submitted in October 2024 show drainage basin 4 in the same location for all 3 layouts. There's no swale in any of these alternatives. All or
So. I'm just trying to catch up.
Sure. Did you do alternatives? I mean, you said there weren't any alternatives when in your response for the basin number 4 or the drainage swale, but not having seen any examples of what you looked at to say, we looked at these and these have been discarded for whatever reason, they aren't suitable alternatives. That's for why we're saying there aren't any. It was something that I think is necessary / advisable to provide for our sake. Otherwise, it's strictly just taking your word for it. But if you've already done an analysis, then you should be able to provide that for us, I would think. There's some other alternatives we looked at. And ruled out. Yes, no.
I mean, Rob, is there, I mean,
I don't know who did the work, that's why I'm just.
well, that's a design one. I'm gonna kick it to Rob.
Okay.
Well, the swale, as you said, the swale wasn't on previous plans, but the swale came about from meetings with town planner, talking to the consultant, getting some impact, trying to resolve an issue at Lake Street. There's a flooding issue right there.
Rob, can you either speak up or move closer to the mic? I'm having trouble hearing. I don't know if anybody else in the room is having a problem hearing, but is.
Adjustable.
We get a little
I'm seeing
closer.
if we can adjust the volume up on ours end, but I don't think we can.
Get up close and personal. Is this better?
That's a bit better. Thank you. That helps.
I'll speak louder.
Okay,
So
that's good.
the
You're at home or
swale-
whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, originally we weren't gonna put that swale in. We were gonna put basins on either side of the road, which would put a basin in another small basin on the other side of the street and discharge it towards the river on, what's that, the southerly side? But after couple meetings and conversations, and Rob, your town planner, and I were on the site walking it. And we walked out there, looked at that area. We did some, when we were doing the testing for the detention basin. And we just kind of bounced the idea around about getting that water out of there. And it seemed like the best alternative was to run it out to that wetland. Because that area floods when the road, that's a low area. And when Lake Street gets runoff, there's nothing to collect it. It just runs off the road and ponds and it floods the road. So we're gonna put a catch basin there now on the road. And we're gonna put a little pipe that dumps into the forebay to treat it. And we're gonna let that go out in the swale. So we're taking care of the drainage in our road, number one, at the end. And we could have done that on the other side as well, but it's in the repairing as well. Or we put it on this side because it gave us the benefit of taking care of the problem in Lake Street and getting that water to go to that wetland out back in that area. So that's how it came about. It was a conversation in the field. And it just seemed like a good solution to a problem that's existing today.
Good solution, but not necessarily answering a question about alternatives. Was there any alternatives considered for that relief of both your roadway drainage issue as well as helping out on Lake Street there? Was there anything
The
else?
alternative would have been to go to the other side of the road, and it would have had less distance traveling from the road to the wetlands. So we felt the
there's-
further the path, the more treatment, and and also the swale will provide some recharge because it's got to travel such a long way.
So we said the other side.
So the other side.
The other side of your
would have
road
been-
or the other side of Lake Street? Which are you talking about? You said the other side of the road.
No, everything would stay on our side of Lake Street, on the other side of our proposed road.
Your other side of your proposal, okay.
So we would have put it on I guess if you look at the sheet and think that north is straight up, then it would have been the southerly side. So we would have put that on the other side of the road and then drained it towards the other wetland, which is along Lake Street, but we're trying to get water away from that area because they have a flooding issue now.
Right.
So that we're trying to direct it out to the back.
Okay.
Right, and that makes sense. My only concern was there any other alternative designs that could be used that just, take 435 square feet out of the inner riparian?
I couldn't make the elevations work handy to get it that far out. I'm catching, the slope of the swale is less than 1%. And if I just don't have enough pitch and I'm going right to the edge to get it into the wetland.
Oh, the terrain is working against you now. What about the, not to jump off of it, I can come back to it if we need to, but Basin 4?
Yeah,
So it's, what about to reducing the impacts of the 25-foot no disturb and the 100-foot riparian? What alternatives were looked at for Basin 4 as a whole?
so the 25-foot no disturb is only for the outlets, only to grade for the outlet pipe. It's just to reach out into that 25-foot to make it to make the elevation work for the pipe. We're not putting the basin in the 25-foot per se. It's just the outlet and the grading to make the
Right,
swale and the riprap work going
So is
out.
it so clearing and riprap that's gonna go in there?
At the beginning, and then it'll be grass. Just the first 8 to 10 feet will be riprap, and then the next 8 to 10 feet would be grass.
Is that the top of the basin between there and the wetlands that we're talking about? That blurry area that's.
The bottom of the basin and the wetlands.
Well, bottom, top of the plan, bottom of the basin, okay,
Yeah,
backside there, okay, so that's the riprap / grass, and the idea was, where the 25-foot right in there?
Right here. The 25.
that's the 25-foot disturbance she's pointing out. It's
Okay,
that little
gotcha.
bit.
With a buffer.
Buffer.
Not
I mean, yeah,
Where
buffer.
it goes from dark shaded, gray shaded to clear, that had dot, whatever line,
Yeah.
25-foot. Or is it?
And again, it's just to make the outlet structure work for the elevations. I mean, that basin's very shallow. I don't even think it gets 2 feet deep. And it's very I made it very elongated. And it's serving to pick up runoff from behind all those units.
All right, so roof leaders not being discharged directly into the ground, they're going into the detention basin?
On those ones, yes, they just go on the ground and they'll overflow through the grass to the drainage basin. We're not gonna pipe it to the drainage basin directly. We'll let it go on the grass.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions, you guys, ladies, feel free to just pipe in for additional clarification or whatever. If you want it or need it, So you're saying for the same, almost the same reason as the swale, if I'm hearing you right, the basin number 4 is restricted from any other alternatives because of the pitch necessary to get the depth of the basin to function to a reasonable level, that you couldn't do something somewhere else or make it smaller, a different shape or whatever to pull it back a bit?
Correct. That's correct. And I can't sink it in the ground, make it deeper to make it smaller because we have a water table issue the area right there is very flat. There's not a
And
lot.
just moving it closer to the units, because there does seem to be a clear area towards the backside of the units, that wouldn't work. It makes their backyard smaller, but if the trade-off is getting it further away from the wetlands and out of the 25-foot, only needing to move it, how many, 8 to 10 feet, or how many feet is?
We wouldn't, I
25?
would not get out of the 25-foot no disturb. I'll still need to grade that for the outlet structure.
Yeah,
I'll still have to reach out to those to get to that lower elevation.
okay. Additional questions on this particular point?
So we had no like narrative scope of alternatives
Not for.
at all.
Not for those, there was originally when it was submitted,
20.
there was all the roadway alternatives, and that was back still when. Bone Brook was, considered a river, and then there were the 3 alternatives in the October. Like resubmission of the plans that kind of, I had it up earlier, but it kind of squiggled the roadway around.
The 3 alternatives were about roadway alternatives, not
Right.
detention
There
basin
wasn't any detention basin alternatives.
So all of the roadway alternatives included basin 4.
Correct. For that area, yeah, the 3 alternatives.
The swale came in after those 3.
Yes.
I'm not really concerned about the swale, because the swale sounds like it's,
Planning board.
yeah, fixing another problem in town that is tangentially connected to us.
So when you have your calculations,
Basin,
the basin looks really small.
4 bay.
yeah.
Well, they're handling just making sure it meets stormwater standards. My concern was more just about not meeting the riverfront standards if there's impacts to the inner 100-foot riparian. So,
That's why I think, I was under the impression we had like a written narrative on like a no build alternative, a few different build alternatives of the basin structure.
not of the basin, the basin 4 was in all of those 3 alternatives that were presented.
As the same thing, each one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much of the riparian zone area is gonna be negatively affected by the basin?
435 square feet
435 square feet.
is what's in it. So that was kind of the concern there.
I think that
Well-
would be pretty easy for you guys to write up.
So Rob, the request is that, or the question is, can you provide a narrative form description of what we just basically talked through? This was kind of what we had expected to get, I think, and Hannah indicated in this memo that she sent out this, today, that, if you had looked at other alternatives, or you looked at putting this basin closer to as we just talked about, closer to the townhouses there in that area to get it away from the 25-foot, you couldn't meet the grade, or if we can get some sort of narrative form that, as was done before, mostly about the roadway alternatives, not detention basins.
I think we can provide that.
Helpful to
Sure.
know that it's been done, because otherwise we have no idea what you guys looked at. It's, you're not
Yeah.
giving us any information to go on.
I think Paul and I work together and we can put that together for you.
that would be
Paul?
helpful, thank you. All right, so that's number two, unless anybody else knows anything else about number two. Okay. Number three, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Basically, buffer zone, isolated wetlands. Exposed gravel, but there's trees in there and tree counts have not been done.
So my kind of suggestion for that was Lou had indicated that, you know, he wasn't sure what you guys wanted for a tree count. And I said that at least at a minimum, anything in the area of work being done, 0 to 50 feet, 10 caliber trees should be located, and why that was important, just because that may impact the buffer zone if it's that close, or even the wetland resource area that it's adjacent to, and that would be either be able to mitigate impacts by doing planting, replacement plantings, or tree saving, so we can, you know, if there's big giant trees, especially near like that vernal pool area, that we hold on to those trees and try to do some type of tree saving plan. And they had submitted a plan for between the two drainage basins, I think it was 1 and 2.
1 and 2, right?
That's adjacent to the replication area. And they had proposed putting in just like meadow. But I had thought that would probably be a better place to do some replacement plantings.
So if I can comment on that, the commission and Hannah had talked about that issue about replanting between those two basins just outside of the replication area. There's kind of a box. It's about, I think it's a little over an acre. Did I calculate? I forget. Acre and a half.
Right there in that clear area, Hannah.
But at any rate, so in thinking about that, I was thinking back to the VSC comments about the replication area and the notion of creating some diversity, which is what we had proposed in there, rather than, you know, as Paul Knappich said, you know, there's tons of wooded swamp out there. Let's do something different. So I thought that was a good comment. So that's what we did. And then I kind of carried that notion up into this area as well. There's a whole bunch of you know, upland forest out there that on the site overall that will remain. But what there isn't here and really in almost anywhere is meadow habitat. So that's what I proposed, is to plant it as meadow habitat, that it get an annual fall, once a year meadow mowing regime to maintain that as meadow habitat. As you probably know, you know, it's a type of habitat that's more and more rare, you know, on the landscape, and particularly in eastern Massachusetts. You know, back in colonial days, there was tons of it, and now there's, you know, now almost the only meadow habitat is actively managed for that purpose by people like Audubon. You know, that's you know, Mass Wildlife does a lot themselves on their properties, and then, you know, big open space landowners, Audubon trustees, they all actively manage for meadow too, for that precise reason. So there's no particular right answer for, you know, what you do there. I propose something, that's why. Okay.
Well, I think my concern there was just the slope steepness, and also because we are removing vegetation around those isolated wetlands which we're not sure what all that vegetation consists of, but that's being removed, and the vegetation adjacent to the original wetland area was forested. So those were just kind of my concerns. But
Right, not just gravel areas, it's
Yeah.
exposed gravel, yeah. Going back to the recommendation of all trees over 10 inch caliper within the 0 to 50 foot buffer zone in areas that will be impacted by development of the replication areas should be pretty clear as to what the areas are that we are looking to have the tree counts done in. Is that unclear in your mind, Paul? What that area is, what those areas are, and we give our rationale for it, whether the applicant agrees with that rationale or not, for wanting to have us have that information in hand to understand impacts to both potential vernal pools or buffer zone areas, as Hannah just mentioned, or other resource areas. That is something that is within purview of us, and we requested it a couple of times now. I'm not sure what else we can do to clarify what we're looking for a count.
And this proposal is also a compromise on what.
I was kind of asking, I was saying, yeah, that would be my, like, at least have that, and, you know, up to you guys, but that would kind of be my recommendation of a compromise, you know, discussing the scale of
I
everything.
think it's a good faith effort of the commission to try to move this along for the applicant.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think this is a good faith effort on the commission's part to try to move this along by still holding up a requirement that we have, but also being a little lenient because of the scale of the project.
When you said, you're talking about Hannah's proposal?
Yes, yeah.
So barring you guys not being clear, and so this is the time to ask that and try to get clarification. Is there any reason that we couldn't expect that could then be done?
I think Mr. Petrosi's on there.
Can you hear us okay? You're still muted. No, still muted.
I think he's on his phone, he doesn't know how to unmute.
Oh my, there you go. You look like you're unmuted now, Lou. Can you hear us?
No,
No, you're not officially muted, but it doesn't, we're not hearing you still. No. It could be the car you're in, yeah. Somebody
yeah,
suggested.
he's walking, let's give him 5 minutes to get in the house and get on his
Oh,
computer.
if you're about to go in the house, go ahead and go in the house, Lou. That's fine.
Or typing in the chat or something.
We see your mouth moving, but can't hear you.
Okay.
Which is unusual.
That's what my wife says.
Yes,
Wait.
No.
Switch the camera.
Cameras, so he's.
Speaker.
Doesn't look like a house.
Oh,
Guys,
this
connect.
is connected.
Connecting to audio. Up to it. Now it'll come through in his car, but he's standing outside his car, so he can't hear.
As a check mark.
Lou, can you hear us?
I think you should take us on a tour.
You guys are floating.
Let's say we move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in lieu of Lou being able to answer, can you see any lack of clarification? You can talk to the applicant.
Hannah's description is very clear.
Okay, all right. So if there's an issue with you not being able to provide the information for some reason, we need to know why and deal with it from there. If you are not communicating us that there is an issue, then we expect to hopefully get that information so we can review it. So I don't know how long it'll take to do that.
Lou, can you just nod of whether you can hear this conversation?
Can you hear us now?
He just.
You froze up on the
frozen.
screen.
Is it Harbor Freight?
He said Harbor Freight.
Does anybody want to go down to Harbor Freight and give their phone to Lewis? Okay.
On the phone.
Yeah.
I see that Harbor Freight.
Okay, so Lou, you froze up on the screen and we're not hearing anything, so we're gonna ask that you guys get back to us on this particular point and let us know if you have a problem with being able to measure the trees in the very compromised area, restricted area, very clear, we think, and Paul thinks, areas that we are looking at. And if so, how long it will take to get that information. If you can't get it to us, we need to know why. All right,
He's going.
all right, so does the commission have anything else about the trees that they want to bring up? Point 3, no? Okay, moving along. Point 4, stormwater basement, 3, 4, and 5, all fall within buffer zone to wetlands and are distinctly within the commission's jurisdiction, do not meet the 4-foot groundwater separation requirement. Did you just put in a request? I lost track now. Is that one of the ones?
That's just one that they stated doesn't apply. They don't think it applies.
Oh, why did you say you think apply?
There's I don't have it in front of me, but Mr. Petrosi had pulled out the reg that talks about that, and there's a narrow set of circumstances where, it says if you're building X, Y, or Z, then you need to have 4 feet of separation at the basins. And this isn't X, Y, or Z. Is basically the,
New construction, it's within the buffer zone.
It's in a groundwater source.
It's a
It has to-
resource area.
It has to do with the groundwater resource area. Is what it has to do with, and it does not specify in the regulations. It talks about subdivision, commercial properties, etc., but it does not specify a site plan or a condominium project.
Are these?
Take the last sentence, you said it does not specify site plan, what, you faded off, good news.
Or a condominium multifamily. It does not, it only talks about subdivisions and commercial projects. And Mr. Petrosi I don't know if he gave you a letter about it, but you may have something in writing.
Yep, yeah, it's been in a couple,
Yeah, so
filings,
you have
but I think
something
we
that
just
talks
have it
about it and
different.
why he doesn't believe that this is pertains to this project.
So I just wanted to mention it again, because I think it does,
I know.
yeah,
Yep.
so I think that's just something.
Is Lou planning on
different.
keeping ownership of all those units? Is he not planning on selling those?
It's not a subdivision though.
Well, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, it's not a subdivision. I'd have to look back at the letter, because I believe it's my understanding that there's what applies and what's exempt, and this meets the intent of what applies and what it doesn't apply to. So, sorry, what's exempt? I'd have to look back at
So they're either exempt or they aren't, and it's not
So-
clear as to which they are.
So it's not
On our side.
outright stated,
Right.
like those large high density development, it's not technically stated as that, but it's also not something that's stated as exempt, so in like the nature of how it was written, that was just kind of an interpretation that we've taken on
So we
all the other
mentioned-
projects.
So those bylaws mention other types of development, but don't mention specifically condominiums.
Right.
Or,
So that's something I can read forward to you guys if you.
I
want.
think we'll need to
Yeah,
get legal
yeah.
opinion,
Yeah,
town council, whether.
yeah, they've looked that over, and that's part of, that's something that they've been looking at on plan.
Well, that's why I asked Rob, but
Yeah.
have they definitively, or are they still reviewing that on the town council side to see whether they are exempt or not?
well, that's a wetland regulation, so I had,
But not having the term looks like a legal semantics thing. We didn't specifically in the bylaws, what Lou was saying, no, is it doesn't.
Yeah, we can kind of take around out of it, but I can clarify with them, but I'd spoken to them and it seemed like that was something that they agreed with, but I can check.
They agree with the applicants.
No.
No, they agree with our interpretation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
but
So-
I
Yeah,
can
so
check.
let's get that verified.
Yep.
And then that could be a point of whether we agree to disagree, the applicant feels it's one way, not gonna necessarily sway their opinion on that. We might need to decide whether we're justified in saying that as a reason to
Right.
not agree with waiving that.
Yep, so that was just.
See, my question was, they didn't actually have to have, they never put in a waiver, so you'd have to,
They have an explanation.
right, they have an explanation thing that they're not necessary to put in a waiver request, not that they're. We may not agree with that. All right, so anything else on that one, Hannah? Or we covered
No,
that?
those were the 4 main
All
ones.
right, so those are the 4 main points that we brought up at this point in time. We do need to move on to our applications. We have a number of other hearings scheduled tonight for the meeting. But we have the need for, just to back up over these 4 points. The resource area impact numbers,
I was gonna check.
I was gonna check on those. No alternatives, we're gonna get some narrative that you and Rob are gonna work on for. If possible, both basin 4 and a brief summary of the drainage swale situation, just so we have that on the record. I don't think there was a disagreement with the commission that. the drainage swale is probably gonna help both the Lake Street area as well as help prevent issues compounding the Lake Street low flooding areas, with the new road that's going in from your site, but some narrative would be helpful to show that there was thought given to, there's no other place to put the swale, et cetera. And then the response that you guys needed to say, confirm that you're working on it or not, and why, if not, all the trees over 10 caliper in the areas that Hannah laid out as her proposed compromise to get this moving along. That's point 3, and then 4 is more us checking. We've heard your response on that, and it's just a reminder that we need to check with our end of things, town council, whoever, that we feel we have legal standing to, this does apply versus not. I don't think, until I hear legal, I don't know what, specifically excluded in this situation.
I don't either.
Okay, so that's where we're at, those 4 points. Anything else that you see that you needed to get clarification on? Points you think are still outstanding that you needed to have us be thinking of or respond to?
I don't think so, Rob.
Rob, anything on your end?
No, I don't, but Mr. Petrosi's gonna jump on the computer right now. I just called him. He's in his house. We should
Okay,
let him
well,
get in the meeting real quick and he can tell us.
I'm appreciative of his willing to, and being able to do that, but we also can't hold too long. We do need to move along. We have a couple other things on and a number of people in the room. Let me just take a pause while we're waiting for Lou to come on to ask people who are in the room present here on site, that you've made the trip down here. Is anybody here for or interested in asking a question specifically about just this project, the Prospect Hill Village? Anybody's in butter questions? Anybody else? I'm not saying you can't.
I understand.
Just make sure that nobody else here has a question. Okay. Go ahead.
I only have one question,
Sure.
but I'll present myself. Robert Moe, Lynn Court in Bellingham. I was looking at the GIS mapper and there was one potential vernal pool that was right between 383 and 381 and 373 Prospect Street, like right where Road A is going into the.
Franklin.
No, that is Bellingham. That's a certified vernal pool that's in Franklin. This one, may I point it out on that here? Or I have it on my map as well here. Actually, I'll show it because it's easier on here. Just to certify under natural heritage data.
Yep,
Potential
I
vernal
see,
pools.
I see the bullseye.
Yeah, and so the road A goes up here, and this is about where that cul-de-sac is. Right here, so my only question was, had that been discussed? I was kind of going through some of the previous documents and I didn't see
I don't know
very much
if
discussion.
that's where you pointed, I mean, that's
Right where that
like
cul-de-sac
20 feet above the wetland. I mean, that's high and dry.
Yeah,
I'm just, there's,
Who decided that it was a potential vernal pool? What?
I just.
so is that, let me,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're looking in the right place.
Is it easier if I just do the non-aerial?
Yeah,
Okay, oop, click the wrong button.
there.
Yeah.
There you can do it. Whoops.
You clicked the wrong button too. All right, it's not fat finger this time.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Someone's thinking.
Yeah, that must be a new point, but it's where he's pointing to is.
Wait a second, let me see on the phone. Overall, I don't think he's zero in.
He's pointing to about here, would you agree?
Yeah, it's right where that rotary is.
Yeah, but this is, so this is the old railroad grade. And if you remember, to get from the railroad grade to this point, you have to go up a big slope.
Rob, you're saying that's a vernal pool based on what?
Based on natural heritage. Okay.
Can I clarify that? It's a mapped quote, potential vernal pool.
Yeah.
And that's a GIS, somebody looked at GIS and just put points down where, maybe there's a vernal pool. A lot of the potential vernal pools are in fact vernal pools, or at least, worthy of consideration. I'm telling you,
So when you say somebody at National Heritage or
at Mass GIS. But what I'm telling you is that I'm quite familiar with that area. And it's really high and dry and there's nothing remotely like a vernal pool at that location.
Is that behind the three houses that
Yeah.
are there?
Yeah, here's the three.
Yeah.
We walked. through
Yeah,
that.
that's where we walk, right?
Yeah, if you're, when you, right, this is where we typically would park for the sidewalk.
That's
In
yeah.
between the.
And if you come in here, remember again, this is the railroad grade.
Yeah,
Between the
yeah.
dunes.
So this is before you drop down to get to the railroad grade. So. I'm telling you from personal knowledge, there's just no way there's a vernal pool.
We'll all walk through there.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen other instances. That must be a new point because I looked at that mapping before and
Is it at the rotary or closer to the intermittent stream between the rotary and that?
it's pretty close to the houses.
You pulled it up right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's essentially like,
It's right near the roadway entrance between these two.
So it's above the railroad grade.
Yeah, I. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, you know, I can take a walk over there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, as I was
I've been
gonna say,
there many times.
I've seen other instances where, you know, we've chased down these things and it's just kind of a patch in the pines that, you know, somebody looking at an aerial photo, thought maybe there was water there in a springtime photo, but there's no water there. I can say that with certainty.
Yeah.
And it sounds like some of you remember having
Yeah,
gone through there yourselves.
I'd be shocked.
I remember that area.
Yeah. maybe
Yeah, and you can see, you know, you can see on the topo, you know, how far it is above.
Oh, 20 feet at a place somewhere, 15 to 20.
Yeah. 15 to 20 above the railroad grade, which in turn is above the wetland, which is where the water table is. Because if you look there, this area here is where the actual vernal pool
Yeah,
is.
that's what I thought he was referencing.
I was guessing the same, but this is actually a vernal pool, no question. But if you look at where at that grade, you know, that's where the grade has to be. And then, you know, which is a similar grade to the pool over here. You know, so the pools that are there are, like most pools.
Yeah.
Are groundwater based. And, you know, that point's 20 feet above the groundwater.
Right.
So I think it's just an error, which again, it's, you know, those are, if you look at the characterization of those, you know, it's a potential vernal pool. It's somebody looked at the aerial, saw something, said, hey, this is worth looking at. So,
Have at least 3 commissioners that walk through there, maybe more.
yeah.
4.
Okay. All right, thanks for bringing that up. Anybody else have, oh, yes, ma'am.
Is that the area, like if you're coming from Bellingham on Prospect Street, the first new house? And you can see the old railroad, I've seen water in there.
If I may,
No.
that's the area that you're describing would be just north of that first house.
Just a little bit north.
Just, yeah, immediately north, but between the road with the railroad and and kind of makes a triangle with the road.
Anna, can you bring the overall map?
That's the area that I was saying is a vernal pool.
Right.
And we
And
know that-
you're referencing, as you drive by, this here. Okay,
Okay,
the dot on that map
this is way over
is
there.
about there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I say, Lou, can you hear us okay now?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Much better than your car phone or phone and car.
Yeah.
So the last point before we need to move on to other hearings tonight is that the question that Paul had asked for, see whether you could confirm or offer anything more, and that's in the email that Hannah sent out today. Point number 3 about the tree caliper measurements in the specifics of exactly what areas we're looking for. Paul seems to be very understand that it's very clear, at least the way Hannah phrased this proposed compromise for identifying what areas we want to have impact for the tree measurements done. And the question I had was, well, how long do you think it will take if you guys are going to go ahead and do this? And if not, then why are you not going to? And Paul wants to defer to you on that.
What is the proposal?
Hannah has proposed that, that there be plotting of trees over 10-inch caliper within the 0 to 50-foot buffer zone in areas proposed for alteration.
Or replication.
Yeah, in those.
Yeah, I'm saying
yeah,
alteration in general.
or like directly adjacent to it, so like if it's on the edge, you should get the trees right in there.
Yeah,
just
so
we
that,
can-
that's why I'm intentionally using the term alteration.
Yep.
To be
Rolling.
kind of encompassing.
Yep,
So I asked that they just designate the areas on a plan so I know what they're talking about.
I mean, I kind of did, I mean, you can have that, but
Hannah's got a plan that she marked up before you came on.
Oh,
so
that's
I-
a green.
degree.
And Paul's looking at it right now, the copy that Hannah's provided to him. She has marked in green some areas that are all the areas that she's
Yeah,
talking about. So we do have an indication now, again, just provided tonight to Paul. And yeah, I just was looking for a sense too, if we're going to be continuing this, just so to give you time to respond to a couple of these things, and we need to check something on our end, point number 4 on this email, which I don't even know if you got a chance to see it today. It came out about 2 o'clock, a little after 2, from Hannah to you and Paul and the commission.
but none of these are new issues. too.
None of these are new issues. So
Reiterations.
anyway, my question was to Paul, at least in your absence, was if you're going ahead and doing this, how long should we anticipate it might take to do those areas as identified by us that we want to see this done? Because we wanted to make sure we didn't continue for 2 weeks. If you guys are getting more time, on the other hand, we continue for the next meeting if that's something you guys can do. I don't want to put words in you guys' mouths, and Paul wanted to see what you thought.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm not interested in continuing the hearing. If you would like us to do extra, I would suggest that you put a condition on it.
I think our condition was that they'd be done before a decision was made by the commission. I think that was pretty clearly stated in the last couple meetings, that we wanted this is provide as per our bylaws, not be done as after the approval process is completed. Condition of work orders, that it be done because of the potential of impacts to some of the resource areas. So we've already responded to that part of it. You made it clear that you're not interested in continuing, although point number 1 and part of two, Paul and Rob are going to confer on to get back to us. So there's some narrative that was requested they thought they could do, and Rob was going to check on a couple of numbers crunched on the first point. So there were a couple of things that they felt they could get back to us and would be able to, that we covered again before you were able to get online. So those 4 points.
Well, I would say locating the trees is not something that's gonna happen like tomorrow. It's a long process.
What's that? I couldn't.
It's a long process.
Yeah, I understand, and that's why
He's making it
knowing
longer.
that we've requested this a number of times, it's not news to us that this is being asked for, it shouldn't be to you. What's been changed is that the scope has been reduced somewhat from, we could ask for the whole site, nobody wants to do that, that's totally unreasonable, to what, since you guys seem to have a lack of clarity as to what was needing to be measured, to a proposal by Hannah, initiated by Hannah, that as Paul just laid out, is pretty restrictive in scope. And so we understand that still might take some time. I'm not looking for an immediate answer. I just want to know if I was going to ask if the applicant is willing to continue, how long you guys need to do that, so we could recommend continue to a specific time or date. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you think it's gonna take a while, that's fine with us. It's your call, but I can't tell you how fast it would take to do that if you were gonna do that.
Well, I'm not really interested in continuing.
Okay, well, that's the decision, as long as you understand the implications of that. If we're requesting information that's not being provided, and you state that you're not wanting to continue, then we will be, as you know, required to base our decision on the information we have available.
If the commission's gonna deny this application because we didn't locate 10-inch trees or greater, then go for it.
I think we're gonna deny it based off the lack of information on wetland impact, and then also no alternatives analysis. And without those, I think a denial, I don't think you're gonna win your superseding order fight, Lou.
Listen,
That's on him.
I'm not interested in having, I'm
Can
not
you hear that
having
okay,
this
Lou?
dialogue.
Lou, can you hear what James was just saying? Cause I'm not sure what your sound quality is there at that end.
I heard what they said.
Okay, you did hear. All right, anybody on the commission have anything else they want to say? Yes, no, okay. Hannah, anything else you want to add? Rob, anything else you want to add?
Oh, sounds
Okay.
like the applicant's.
Okay,
Question.
so,
Close the
since now at this point in time in the hearing, we would be stating whether we want to continue this, if the applicant was agreeable to, and you're stating that you're not willing to continue it, we will need to make a decision, I guess.
Well, you can close the hearing and then
21 days.
21 days,
Right.
so we can.
Right.
have
Close it at the next meeting.
Deliberation at
Right.
the next meeting.
Right, so we will close the hearing and continue to the next meeting for our decision. We have 21 days to respond. And so within 2 weeks, we will at our next meeting have a discussion about this. You're certainly invited to listen in or
Not
attend,
participate.
not participate, attend.
Do we,
And
do we need to, make a motion to close?
yes, yeah, absolutely. So I just want to make sure the applicant understands. Okay, so we've heard the applicant's responses. I would look for motion to close and at the next meeting issue an order of,
I think you can just close it and then, deliberate at the next.
yeah. So a motion to. close.
So based on the applicant's desire not to continue it, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion about it?
And to deliberate at the next meeting.
Yes, and to deliberate the next meeting.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank
So
you.
we'll be
Gentlemen.
having a meeting in 2 weeks and we worked up now.
All right, next,
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a continued hearing for, which has been with us by the applicant to continue, but I'll read it. Notice of intent for Blackstone Street. For those of you who are here for Blackstone Street, this is what has been just requested, Hannah, what was requested?
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, sorry to steal it.
But you can scan it. I want to make sure. Thank you for the record.
So,
Hannah,
Yep.
just for the record, this notice of intent for Blackstone Street, you
They
have requested
requested it.
continuation as of
Yesterday.
yesterday. So with those in the room, if anybody's here in the room for Blackstone Street, apologize for your sitting here until this point in time, but the applicant has requested as of yesterday a continuation, so
thank you
you've
for
been put
coming.
that on the agenda. Thank you very much for coming. We won't be discussing it because of the request for the applicant to continue. So just on the street for the record, alteration of bordering bed shaded wetland. BBW associated 100-foot buffer zone for improvements to the undeveloped section of Blackstone Street, including infrastructure, utilities and site grading. Luke Petrosi is the applicant and the applicant has requested a continuation to the evening of August 27th at 7 p.m. as our usual format for doing that. I will accept a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Second, Aaron, thank you. Any other discussion? Clarification? Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
did this conversation take place?
Hey, Rob, could you just take that outside, please? He's still over here, you know.
So sorry.
In here, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so, we have a motion, a second, no discussion, this, thank you, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that will be continued until the evening of the 27th. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lou.
Night.
So we continue.
Good night.
Great, so the next item on the agenda, notice of intent for Rentham Road, well, number 11, alteration of boarding land subject to flooding buffer zone for work on well number 11, including well replacements and improvements to the infrastructure. This is on map 95 parcel 27J. Bellingham DPW is the applicant and the rep is Charles Karen about mental consulting, and we have this.
Yeah, so Chuck is on vacation this week, so I'm filling in for him.
Okay, thanks, James. James
Yep.
Cray is on the line,
From
for the
Wright
record,
Pierce.
and we also have Jesse Riddle from the DPW. Jesse, welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so a number of us been out to the site to look at it. How many members were out? Said with Hannah, anybody else?
I think it was just us.
Yeah, this one, we went.
Oh, this,
Oh, you guys.
you went to the other one, okay.
Yeah.
The well site, sorry. Okay, so, anybody based on our description from the last meeting where we described what we saw and so forth, have any questions? The one point I brought up, which is not strictly related to the wells, but is about the site there. In the current usage of the building that's there, the pump building or whatever it's called. There's a little drive around. Somebody actually drove around from Mass Mosquito Control, was doing a survey for mosquitoes at the time Hannah and I were walking it. It's very tight behind the building there where you're proposing putting in a new pad for a generator or something, an oil tank or.
Yeah, it's so the original plan didn't have that wraparound. That was kind of more of a convenience thing because there wasn't anything there. But when this new generator and propane tank go in, they're gonna have to use it. They won't be able to drive around it anymore. And we discussed that with the DPW. Yeah,
It looked like it would be too tight with a large tree
Yeah.
that's right behind the building there to do that. If you have to take that tree out, it's probably within an impact resource area, and I didn't want to open that up can of worms that
No.
wasn't gonna be done. Okay, all right, so that's not an issue. All right. Maybe,
The other one?
no, this is, well, 11 is the one down that you and I walked,
Yep,
right?
yeah.
No, this is the one I was talking about.
I thought that the one down on Method Road was one that had the propane.
Oh, the propane tank. This is the one I'm.
Yeah, this is Rapid Road.
Yeah.
Well, 11.
High Street was well 10.
Okay,
Don't let me.
okay, that's it.
The numbers are too close together.
Yeah, very close. This is the one that we have, this is the one where we have 3 wells existing. They're gonna be basically moved back a little bit away from the resource areas in each of the cases. It's already cleared land.
Mhm.
It's gonna drill a new well because it's easier than unclogging the existing wells. And so that's pretty straightforward, I thought, on that particular site. Anybody have any other questions or observations? You guys have anything new that's changed since we last met about this 2 weeks ago? No, I hope not.
No, I mean, the only thing, we had met with Hannah and I'd submitted what she's got up on the screen. There was a question that came when we got the DEP number on some of what the impact of the flood area would be with the new concrete pads that are going in. So we discussed it and we put together a calculation to kind of show that that's insignificant, more or less, of what we're
0.02 inches.
like. Yeah, if you were to spread that out throughout we calculated based on the flood zone area within the parcel, and determine the area impact within the flood zone, and then also the height, feet. So it's 0.02 inches. It would raise it if you spread that out throughout the entire parcel.
Right, that's 10% I'm hearing. Okay, and DEP had comments or something, Marianne?
That was the.
That was the okay, they all know it, okay. All right, that seems to address satisfactorily. Yeah, I guess. All right, I think it's all about it, right? We'll have to have it.
It's a limited project, so they technically can, and then the other alternative that they talked about with the whole, they have to clear a bunch of those trees or. Yeah, so that's not really great.
Right.
You all on it, right?
Water, yeah, like
And
that.
it's minimal, it seems like.
Minimal
options.
options, yeah.
Yep.
Most of you previously disturbed.
Yes.
Right.
Previously disturbed.
Yep, seems.
All right, Steve, any thoughts?
Look at that.
No, okay. No problem. Any questions? No? Okay. All right,
Would
so
like to make a motion,
I will hear your motion. Go ahead, James.
close the hearing and issue an order of conditions.
Second.
And we have motion and a second. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Whoa. Our vice chair is a little confused. Hold on, gentlemen. I want to make sure. Is that an aye for the first or is it an aye for the second? Nay for the second.
She's
Okay.
indifferent.
So she was willing to vote for both, but you can't. You can't vote. So we're good, gentlemen. You're good. We'll issue the order of conditions, check with Hannah, and we'll get that processed and signed off on shortly in good order, and you're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, last item on the official hearing is notice of intent for 123 Mendon Street, commercial redevelopment within the riverfront, 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, DC Pavone Enterprises, the applicant William Helsing, who I've seen in the room, is land planning the representative. Gentlemen, welcome. Good evening. It seems like a long time ago we saw you, and it probably has been. I know it's been almost the record for continuations, probably not the record, I don't want to look that far back, but it's been continued a long time, and I hear that things might be actually, the planning board has stepped out of the right.
Yeah, they're planning to close.
Yeah, I know, but I thought Rob would be here to celebrate. on this one.
He'll let me know.
Okay, yes. Okay, so you guys are good. You haven't changed anything on our scope since we approved it, our section a long time ago. Does anybody from the commission have any reason to want to revisit it, have them re-explain everything? It's been so long. Bill has celebrated a couple birthdays since that. No, it's. Oh, yeah. Well, I got a little over. So if there's no other questions, about this, we.
We had a different president when this started.
Yeah, it's not quite, not quite, but it's in the, yeah, I think that's all. I think Nicole will have to abstain from voting on this, only because you've not been involved in any of the hearings for this. So it's not a nay on you, but, anything saying against you, but rather than trying to deal with the Mullen rule.
Yeah.
We have,
I have no
we don't
problem.
need it to get vote, so we'll just, let her abstain, and we don't have, Pam online, but that's all right, we don't need it for a quorum and to pass, so I'll accept a motion if someone wants to make it.
I'll make a motion to close and share under conditions.
123 Main Street, okay?
There's like a list of special conditions for this one, right?
Yeah, so I did draft it a while ago and that's been in the portal, so if you don't have any issues.
Is there one for vice chair, second one down, is that still for, yeah, the other thing's still,
Oh, yeah.
which is,
It's always
it's okay, so
sitting
back
there
then when that was
waiting for-
done,
right.
we had a different vice chair, who's no longer here. So Nicole is our new representative, who's replaced, Neo Stanley, who retired / resigned, end of June, I believe was his last meeting. And so after 24 years of, 25 years of service, yeah, he's out, he's lived out of town for a number of years, got exempted from the requirement to be a in-town resident, but he's tired, and I don't blame him for doing it. That's a lot of years. It's a lot of years, so my resume is put me in, but.
Second.
We have a second from James, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Aye, so we have five ayes and one abstention from Nicole, because she was not present for the record for these this hearing for.
You gonna miss coming?
Yeah, I might just stop by every
Yes.
once.
I bet.
You can watch ABI.
Coffee and donuts.
I'll take my life, any chance to say hi.
That is the pursuit.
I'm sure we'll see.
You guys wanna sign now?
We can sign, sure. Yeah,
Can't sign anyways, so.
right, so there's. No.
I had signed 200 Christmas cards and then,
Oh, wow.
about my signature.
I just got a stamp.
The planning board used to have stamps.
Yeah, I just got a stamp.
To my lot, but stuff. While we're signing that, you gentlemen can, anticipate that Hannah will, you know, any hand than this, obviously you're gonna give me.
Oh, yeah, no, because I have to scan everything, send it to DEP.
Yeah.
It's a
So
whole
that will
process.
proceed, and otherwise, long wait for a short hearing, but. We have a couple of things we're gonna do, and it's only 9 o'clock, so we got hours still, you know, it's up to me.
Well, this is going around, you've seen the order of conditions.
So you know it's safe.
Yeah, just, hopefully this.
Yeah,
haven't changed anything.
We haven't
especially
changed
with
order
the
of conditions, you've reviewed the applicant, there's, if you have any questions. I haven't seen it. Oh,
Well, yeah, because we don't typically.
oh, that's right, yeah, you probably have
But
it.
sometimes it's a good idea on these projects to see it in advance.
Well, we
Not
can,
today.
I'm sure there's nothing.
We would have discussed them, I thought, oh, it's been so long, they all blend together, because we didn't add anything. new.
We discussed them.
Right.
Discussed it.
Ad nauseam.
Second hearing or something.
Like January.
We just waited,
I don't remember there being anything.
no.
So I remember these being like the best plans that I've ever seen to meet all of our requirements.
You do?
I was like, wow, everything I would look for is on here.
We weren't the issue.
Don't let that get to your head.
No, it means that every other time you come in here now, from now on, you have to.
the bar.
That's like a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
Okay, but you guys are good to go. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Sorry for the long evening.
All right. I'm sorry.
Entertaining, right? It's like watching that tomorrow.
for the next one.
It was more interesting than most, but that.
Yeah, that was.
Take
Take care. Thank you. All right, we have under other business, 175 North Street amendment requests.
Yeah.
So that was.
Do I see what?
Yep, so that was,
Why don't you show the
What's what you got there?
yep, so that, I had a couple
I
of
gotta
that.
tell you, that situation, I find quite annoying. Have you seen the map with the area past the approved?
Oh, yeah,
You'd be hard pressed to convince me that wasn't
You
intentional.
pulling it up?
Yep, I'll put this. This is. So, because we had requested that they stake it out and calculate the areas of the alterations.
Bill doesn't still
Outside.
represent this person, correct?
Well-
They switched to a different person, didn't they?
No, they had somebody else do the surveying, but this is still, it was still submitted by Bill, but I don't think he's representing him for this,
Yes.
since they don't have to come to this one. But if you allow it to like be heard, this is basically just the DEP policy for amended orders. I put that in there just as like a refresher, or if people haven't seen it before,
That
That's
almost like
in there.
15,000 square feet.
but
Yeah, there's areas of overcut that's 2 to 3 times the width of the driveway that it was supposed to be. That's not,
yeah, so they're not requesting to keep that, they're just requesting to move the driveway and then restore all of
I
the.
realize that the driveway move is almost irrelevant.
Given the.
Meaning he's only moving the driveway, the mouth
Yeah.
width of the driveway. It's
So everywhere that's shaded blue, they're proposing restoration.
Correct. And I would also assume that.
Yeah.
In this area, that, over here, that they would also do restoration if it's cleared and then it hasn't been. If it's not actually going to be a driveway, that they would also restore that.
So the amendment's really only for the driveway.
Yes, yeah,
Everything else can be handled under.
Oh, so I thought they were
It
moving
could-
to the left as
Or
you
if
face.
there's
the
an open
driveway.
Yeah.
they can, if we're opening it up anyways as an amendment, you could include the restoration as part of that.
But everything shaded in blue
Yep.
is what they have to restore.
I mean,
That's where they cut it
Yep.
wider than they
That's
want.
the
Yep.
cut
And
area.
My thoughts on the amended order side of things is if they had come to us without, like, take away all the extra clearing.
Yep.
If they had just said, we want to move the mouth of the driveway a little bit, do you think this requires an amended order? I would say no.
No.
Oh, see, based on DEP policy, I would say yes. Because they've been putting out stuff lately being like, you can't just do that as like a field
it's
measure. If you're,
Perfect.
if you're expanding if you're getting closer to a wetland, it needs to be an amendment rather than a field change.
Because it's,
They've
even though it's
clearly
moving a little
indicated
bit,
some,
it's
like,
moving
minor
towards the
project
wetland. Yeah.
notification.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with DEP wanting additional filing fees or anything like that. I'm sure it definitely doesn't have to do with that.
It definitely probably also doesn't have to do with my company submitting BS final applications.
Yeah.
I don't know, but so that's, I mean, if that, you guys also could be like, nope, we don't need to
I'm
do
sure-
an amended policy.
I'm sure.
You could
Wait a minute, aren't they moving?
Allow it as a
Commissioner
field
Hilty
change.
is-
Hannah, aren't they moving it away? The pink area is
No.
where they want to put it, correct?
Yes, and
Yeah.
that is moving closer towards the
to the
wetland,
wetland.
towards the A series wetland.
Yeah.
They're moving
Yeah,
it.
the wetlands to the
about-
right.
Due to site distance
10
to,
feet.
oh, due to site distance to the east. I thought they wanted to move it to the east. I'm saying, so that's to the right. Okay.
So my
Yes.
question is, did they already do this driveway cut?
Well, all of this has been like
Clear already.
cleared,
Right.
that including everything else. Yes,
Right.
all of those areas have been cleared, correct. And more, they've cleared it even further to the other way. All the blue was cleared.
No, I know that,
Oh.
but so like the driveway to the south, the cut that was approved, the approved plan, is that cleared and cut?
Yes, that
Site
whole,
distance,
yeah.
yeah.
all
That
that was
road,
cut.
he needs to add the old part of the driveway to the plant.
Like that needs to also be restored. That's what I was trying to say
Exactly right.
earlier, but I explained it poorly.
That street, people home along, I go in it all the time. People drive it a little faster in that section of the
But
street.
so if you feel it doesn't need to be an amendment request, and this could just move forward as a enforcement order, we can go that way. You can do it through an amendment, and then they would have to, you know, do the public hearing again.
Hannah, do you know roughly where the 25 is? At the mouth of the driveway now from
Yep, so the 25, they're making sure they stay outside the 25.
like this?
No, I can't.
That's this should be,
If the pink is the driveway.
this is the 25.
Yeah, it is. I see it up in the middle,
Right,
if you follow it down.
So he went in probably 20 feet from the wetland, this
yes,
clearing,
yep. Yes.
almost on like all sides, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I see, jeez.
So
You're gonna make you give me some of your lawn, it's going back to the wetlands.
if the scope of what is being requested in this amendment request is clear to everyone, the question is, how do you want to proceed?
Right.
And I was the one that directed that. I was like, yeah, I think this should be an amendment. I don't think this can be processed as a field change, but if you guys feel that it's minor enough to
Did
just.
they
say
already
it's fine.
submit?
No, because this, I just requested the stuff to say, can we process this as an amendment request? That
So
was
if
the
it's an
first step.
amendment request, we have to have a public hearing?
Yes, if it's if we're amending the order,
Yeah.
it needs to go through a public hearing process. Which, that was the only reason why I thought that it did need to do that, is because we're changing the limit of disturbance. If they were doing changes interior and it was the same limit of disturbance, I'd be like, field change all day.
Yeah.
But because they are pushing it closer towards the wetland, they're still not. Like,
Yeah,
changing
in an
any of our-
area
like,
that's
they're not
they've
messing
already
with any of our
disturbed.
wetland
We're
restrictions,
changing
but-
the permitted area disturbance.
Correct. So there's a list of plantings that they want to
Currently
replace.
disturbed area.
Correct,
Right.
yes, the permanent.
So it seems like it should be an amendment, and they kind of forced us into that situation because.
So you
they
could
both
just,
of them
you could
went-
just require that they restore everything.
Right, we could do it with an enforcement on the actual area that's been cleared outside of what's permitted and then call the driveway change minor in scope and let them work under their existing order.
I'm curious if the relocation, it may better the situation, but I doubt it resolves it.
Better
For the line of sight.
access, you mean?
You only see 25 feet more, the width of the driveway.
Yep. Yeah,
Place.
I mean, from
Someone's
looking at it, it
coming
does seem like I don't know if it would solve it, but it definitely. I mean, I'm no engineer, but looking at it, I looked over and I was like, okay, yeah, you definitely can see a little bit better from over here, but.
You can only go so far to the property line
Right,
too.
that's exactly, so.
You don't have much further before you hit the property line anyway, so. Okay, well, my initial thought was the blue area, do we have a stated sense of when, or a statement from the applicant when they're gonna restore that area?
No, because we were kind of trying to figure out what their course of action would be, because you guys hadn't.
Will he
been
restore
wanted
it?
to do. Yes, that will,
Will
that's
he
the
be
thing, we'd either
required?
have to do an enforcement order and set deadlines for that. Or it would be, if you wanted to do it, people had talked about opening the order back up through an amendment and doing it that way, so those are kind of the two
Well, then he
ways.
has, then he has his 3 years to get it done.
Or you
Unless
could,
we
you
impose
can
a
set
condition.
timelines in there, but yeah, it is easier to do at an enforcement order, just in terms
Yeah.
of like establishing deadlines. But if, I know in the past, you guys have done it through, like, you've done restoration through NOIs, so if that's your preferred method, we can do that.
We can all-
obviously, But,
I almost prefer the enforcement route, because we can essentially use that as the cease and desist for the rest of the project. And say that restoration has to come first.
Before you
Of
build
these
the house,
areas
yeah.
before he continues with the project that's currently permitted.
that, I think when we first talked about it, I was like, yeah, we should just go enforcement order, but I think you guys wanted to see what the scope was before bringing
Well,
down
now
the
it's
hammer,
it's
but
pretty
yeah,
big, yeah.
and it is pretty big.
It's huge.
So,
So this letter from Northeast Ecological Services, did the developer get them involved?
yep, yeah,
Is
so
it-
that's kind of,
okay.
they got them to put, the blue on the plan, so the plan's by land planning, but the ecological services.
So that's
they
what
got
they
them
would
on board
replace
to do
all that with.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
that's the proposed restoration, because when we served them with the cease and desist, we were like, hey, get that figured out, get it on a plan and get some sort of restoration, but we didn't set like a specific deadline and we didn't have like, you need to start this, because we didn't know if we wanted to do enforcement order or open up the order.
I bet I know our land planning.
Are oaks and pines, the best choice?
Yep, so that's what was.
These are all
that's, like,
native.
What was in the area. And they had that kind of listed out on the original plan. They like talked about what the existing forest was made out of.
Yeah.
And what trees were supposed to be taken down, and that was kind of the mix that was
I'm
in there.
surprised we didn't see any deer stands out there with how that all looked.
I'm sure they will cut down.
Yeah.
Okay, so the consensus of the commission is what for this? Do we want to make the amendment part of an enforcement order? Do the amendment separately and then do an enforcement order?
No, it would be either do this as an amended order of conditions, which would go through the public process again, or issue an enforcement order and do it under the enforcement order.
Well, yeah, you could, I guess you could say like, okay, it's a minor field change to change that, if you'd like to classify it as that instead of the amended order, but I had recommended that they do the amendment just because they changed the limit of disturbance, but that's also up to you guys.
Well,
Was the edge of the limit of disturbance the proposed driveway?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah, it was like a little bit, it was like a foot or two outside of that, but yeah.
So we're adding like 15 feet, maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm in the industry, so it sounds minor to me, but I'm only one of.
To me, the bigger issue is getting that blue area redone in a way that we ensure that that happens and happens properly and happens in a relatively good time frame. And as opposed to someday, maybe he'll do it, maybe he won't. And I think the way to do that is probably with an enforcement order. I think it carries more weight, and as you said, gives us time period, both timetables and.
Plus, like, he's not proposing that as an amendment, he messed up.
And it doesn't change his date for his original order, like even if we did an amended order, the timetable would be the same for him to get the rest of the site work done.
I believe the restoration needs to be enforcement. If the driveway move is an add-on to that or its own independent amendment, or it's.
Okay, so EO for restoration seems to be like conclusion, enforcement order for restoration. And then, so just, I guess, seems like James kind of the opinion that it could be made as a minor field change, or the other option is through the amendment process. So those are the two options.
I'd like to see the advantage to the amendment and not a field change is it's putting a stricter record on it. If we already have a history of ignoring protocol.
We can ask them.
Let's keep it.
Or require them to record a new site plan.
I don't think they're recording the site plan.
They didn't record the site plan with their own.
So I think it's typically just the order.
Yeah, let's keep it as tight as we can.
Would this be an appropriate thing? Because it seems like it's kind of split. Would this be appropriate for like a vote? to do?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm also wondering whether the applicant should be here for this. If we're gonna issue an enforcement order now,
We don't issue enforcement orders,
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people
We don't
without
ask
telling.
permission.
right.
oh, no, I'm sorry, I meant, talk about the amendment portion.
Well, that doesn't have to be done in any
Because you
way,
would,
because you'd have to.
they haven't formally asked for amendment, you just asked us if we
Well,
think.
no, they
amendments-
did ask for it,
Oh,
but
they-
that was because I
They
said,
just-
you should do this.
They
as
didn't
an
file the
amendment."
paperwork, so
They didn't file the
requested
paperwork.
permission, right?
Correct,
So it's not officially. but-
correct.
Okay,
So this is just saying. can
yeah, I
we-
think we should
What
definitely,
advice should we give them?
Yeah, we're giving them guidance on what we believe we require for filing.
Yes. If they. would like to
so
do that.
is it amendment in addition to enforcement order that you all want? Steve seemed to indicate that, what Ariane, Nicole, what do you thinking?
What was that?
So everybody, I think, is agreement on enforcement order.
Yeah.
There is, right, okay, so that number one is aside. Now the question is about the road, driveway at the end there. Do you want to deal with it as an amendment or a minor order change or?
Amendment.
So we have amendment, conditioning, not, this isn't a vote, I just want to get a sense of whether if there's a disagreement, we should vote on it.
I'm leaning towards minor, but I honestly don't care either way.
It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
That's why I said,
I mean-
if I were the applicant, I would be arguing tooth and nail for this to just be a minor field change. But that's because I come from that side of things too.
And that's what the applicant's representative requested. They requested it be a minor field change.
Because if you think of it at the scale of the site, this is less than a percentage of the scale of the site development. Yeah, maybe.
Pleasure of the commission. I mean, do you wanna, we could take a vote on it and decide based on the vote whether we require as amendment or as minor change, or if there's no disagreement on it.
And there's no enforcement difference, right, between the two, really,
Well.
as far as ensuring that he does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be
Public, yeah, you'd have to come back and do like the.
for an amendment, yes. Yep, amendment would be, the public hearing would be scheduled.
Right, but as far as enforcing,
Yeah, we just wouldn't require restoration for the proposed relocated driveway. So,
Except for
The restoration will include the driveway that was permitted that had been cleared.
right,
Which
yeah.
almost like requires him to put the driveway exactly where he's proposing to put it now.
Yeah,
Because
so
we
it
will
kind of
have to
switches
restore
off.
both sides of
Yes,
it, right?
yep,
we can, well, we're gonna ask him to do that anyway.
yep, so EO is the enforcement order is for sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like everybody concludes
Right.
yes, so now it's just minor field change or amendment, public hearing or amendment process. Those are the two options. So it seems like there's two for.
So if he were to
Field change,
appeal,
one
if
for-
he were to appeal either of these, I'm
You
just trying to
can't
think
appeal.
what's the net, you can't.
Nope, you can't appeal
So-
enforcement order, you can't appeal amendment requests. You could just outright deny the amendment
Yeah.
request and make him do the same plan as he had before or require a new NOI.
Right.
So, but
Yeah. So what's the advantage to us by enforcing?
That's quicker than the other.
yeah.
Right, one's quicker than the
quicker.
other.
That's about it.
Yeah, okay.
But
It
the
saves him
good
filing
thing about
fees.
the amendment is just, it's the new updated, like, date of the plan is on file. And we know this is the final plan, and that's recorded somewhere, but that's also, the plan's not, because he was saying, oh, you can have him record a plan, but plan's not recorded anyways, so we just have the record of it anyways. And DEP, I mean, we could send it to DEP, but that's kind of that would be the pro of the amendment versus a field change, but a field change is also usually still out as that with you the blank. Seems like we've got
Amendment
two.
doesn't have any advantage.
Yeah. Or minimal, like a very minimal advantage to go through that whole process.
I'm indifferent with the exception of the enforcement.
Right.
That's a
Usually
must.
the
Oh, yeah,
involvement
we all-
is 'cause it's-
Well, then the easiest course,
Yeah.
if I'm not hearing anybody saying
Feel-
if they really feel strongly for the amendment, the easiest course is to just go with the minor change as part of the enforcement order.
Well, you can't do it as part of the.
Not part of the
But-
enforcement order, but he'd get back to us and say, I want to do this minor change. He needs to understand, he can't just go ahead and move the driveway over because he hasn't heard back from us about the amendment.
But the minor change is almost being forced by the enforcement order because the enforcement order is requiring restoration of the area south of the proposed driveway.
Sure.
So it's almost forcing where the driveway is going.
All right, let me ask a different question. If an amendment is requested, the dimensionalized drawing would be provided. If it's a field change, he controls
Oh,
location and width.
No, the commission has the discretion to approve it as a field change.
After it's
No.
done.
Well,
Well, no, after
Normally,
it's done, we
in like-
either don't issue a certificate of compliance or we issue enforcement.
so I would normally go down and someone's gonna be like, yeah, like, it turns out it's a little more rocky here than we thought. Can I move the road a little bit? To Hannah, and then she might be like, yeah, that's fine.
I would never be like, yeah, that's fine. Not to you guys.
Yeah, but you'd say, I mean, if you're out on the site, correct me if I'm wrong, from a minor change like this, he would say to you, well, I want to move the driveway because I required to as part of the enforcement order, restore this area and I need to move the driveway over here. Can
No,
it
we're
do?
pretending the enforcement order isn't in play right now.
I guess my question is, to me, a field change on my side of the world is an on the fly, in the field, real-time change, not applied for and submitted. Is that not how it works here?
Well, no, that's the thing. It
Well,
it would be kind of a, because they're just requesting it rather than through a
Right.
public hearing, which would be the amendment.
I'm
This
sure
is
you've
the
run
field
this
change.
before, like if you hit ledge or something and you need to move something, the contractor might just do it, and then later on,
Well,
whoever
that's-
your environmental consultant is, will go to the commission and say, hey, we hit ledge. We needed to move 30 feet this way.
That's slightly different. You don't just as-built a building move because you hit ledge.
No, not a building.
You just use that whole-
I'm thinking just excavation.
All right, so what are we thinking?
Yeah, pick one, please.
Going in circles a little bit,
Amendment.
so.
Well, we're not, if we do it, require them to amend, we're not voting to require them to amend. This is other
It
business.
would just be, right, but I'm
She
just
just
saying
wants to get a consensus.
Consensus.
that
So those in
majority
favor
saying
of amendment, raise your hand. You're not voting officially, but raise your hand if you want.
amendment,
As amended.
Either way.
So we have three.
so we 3-3?
No, 3-2, I won't vote. I just want to see what the commission. Let's do it. So those want minor change. I assume we did.
Yeah,
do
I,
that.
I'll.
So it's 3-2, so. amendment-
Either way is fine with me, to be honest,
Looks like amendment.
because I don't know, ultimately,
Okay. In both cases, we're getting control changes going forward, which is better than having something done.
right, but if one is more formalized,
Right.
The
so
amendment.
be it.
So tell them they
Yep.
need to amend. All right, so 12 Minute Drive extension, enforcement order extension request for 12 Minute.
Yep, so they were supposed to have it in for the last meeting, that was like the chicken coop
I was
and
just
the
saying,
shed
chicken
and
coop
everything.
breakfast.
Yeah, so they were supposed to have it in by last time, they got Goddard on to do it.
That was like 3 weeks ago when they got Goddard on.
Yeah, so, but, right, so like it was right before their due date.
Right.
That they were supposed to have stuff in, that they got Goddard involved. So they did miss it, he came to the meeting. And then after, I mean, Prospect Hill went on for a really, really long time, and I think he just left.
Oh, yeah.
So, but then we didn't have time to also go over, oh, they missed their deadline, but they brought it in today. So we have an NOI, we have a restoration plan, so it's, the point's kind of.
Yeah, and the restoration plan is reasonable.
Yeah, well, it'll be presented, so
Okay.
I'll schedule a hearing.
Yep.
And then go from there,
All right.
basically, yep. So we were like, you just gotta have this in, so, yep.
All right, so sign well number 10. Sign well number 10, order of occupancy.
Order. Conditions.
Or just like that. Order. So sign well. Number 10.
We're the building commission now. Order of occupancy.
So is that they call it the sign well? Is that the one on High Street?
No, they're saying.
Sign the order of conditions.
The order of conditions for
Sign, well, I think a comma.
I kind of screwed up that, but I'm.
I
here to
thought we had to
explain
sign
it.
it properly, so Arian can't just do a scribble, she has to actually sign it legibly.
I'm
That's.
trying to, I'm.
Oh,
Sign it.
I.
Sign.
I'm a little slow now, Mike.
Well, it is 9:30.
Nah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
well, we're on here, promise Nicole, we don't have meetings that run till 5. Okay, OSRP and Open Space Committee.
Done with it already.
Speaking of things, forever.
Yeah, so, I'll just kind of make this kind of brief, but open space and recreation plan. When Hannah Crawford was here, we kind of thought like, okay, we'll just get this done in the couple months that she was here in the in-between. There ended up being a lot more to get done than like anticipated, so we were like, oh, we're just over the finish line, and I was like, wait, no, like, we need to go back to look at some of this, so that's still being finished up. Ariane's been helping and really on top of a lot of it, so we're slowly chugging through, and I think we're in a good place now at this point. But in terms of like the committee that we have right now, it's kind of set up as kind of an ad hoc committee. It's not really built to be like long-standing. Hannah Crawford was kind of like acting chair, but there was no like appointment by anyone. There's no like voting members that were appointed. A lot of the committee
You
is.
took over. That's what it sounds.
Yeah, and that's right. And then a lot of it's town staff, that's like the other people that are involved in creating the open space plan. It was mostly Hannah Crawford, the interns, and Ariane that were writing it before. And then I came in and started kind of getting.
Sahan and I were on for a while.
Yes, well, and then Sahan was there, and then Sahan left as well. So, yeah, so he hasn't been involved for multiple months at this point. So it's kind of in like a weird place right now of just trying to get it done. But I think it would be helpful for, I mean, it's 9:30 and we're just getting to other business stuff kind of now. it seems like open space kind of gets, we have so many like legal deadlines, so a lot of that stuff gets kind of shoved and we can't, you know, do a ton of work on it super often. So I was thinking it would be really helpful to kind of continue Hannah Crawford's vision and like make it more of a long-standing committee. So I have to figure out if we need the select board to like also vote on that, but I wanted to make sure you guys were like, yeah, that sounds good to get. I was thinking some sort of subcommittee of Concom and then bring in some other people that have like vested interests that are town
I like that,
people.
I like that because we had a lot of interest in the one.
Yes, exactly. There was a lot of interest in.
Not mentioning any specific names.
I'm looking around the room there, anybody else
Saying
sitting there
open
on the
space.
ground?
That have a lot of vested interest in.
I got what see out of the corner of my eye.
I thought the,
That I think could, you know, move things forward
Yeah.
where we might not have a ton of forward movement currently.
And have
Have you had
a
a chance to reach out to
significantly
Hillary or
positive
Dennis?
impact.
And reach out
on
to
the town.
Hillary or Dennis about that?
Not since we talked, yeah.
I
So
thought
I've
Hannah,
been at the preliminary stage
Sure.
where I'm just trying to figure out who needs to vote on that, if it needs to be the select board or if it can just be you guys as a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission.
The question partly was when Hannah and I talked about this, if you're involving people from other town committees or town officials, employees of the town, and in a committee, and it's not just Concom members forming up their own subcommittee, that I think we can do.
Yeah.
And whether there's a formal process or not, we can figure that part out, I guess, but when you're involving people from other groups,
Yeah.
how do we have to do it properly?
Yep.
And the town may have some input, but first, as Hannah said, you want to make sure the Concom is on board with the idea, so she can say,
that's what I was gonna say. I think
Thanks.
Hannah Crawford's initial idea, initial dream was well-based.
Yes.
There's a need for, there's nothing wrong with it. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't just wall-based, there was
So
open
was
space
your
involved too.
question basically to
Town
hand
roads,
off to
open
members?
space, all.
Yeah, and have like a chair and voting members that could, you know, more actively
Documented
work on stuff,
and-
because clearly I feel like at this point, I'm kind of a bottleneck for a lot of the like.
Well, we have no like free
People
hearing.
like to do.
We're here until
Exactly.
10 o'clock at night regularly.
And I personally just don't have a ton of extra time to like devote to it.
So
And Ariana's already doing a ton.
if you're the chair, you can delegate tasks to other people. So like,
Yeah,
I was getting the sense that like no one was gonna delegate tasks, so I just kind
Right.
of started picking them up.
right.
But you could say like, all right, like, you know, John Smith, you're gonna write section 4.
Right.
And like, you know,
Yeah, but I also think it's kind of tough having like just a member of town staff be the chairperson of a committee like that, because it feels like that should be something. Like if it's gonna be a long-standing thing that continues, like I.
Yeah, you need the
thought-
collaboration
felt
of
like it
other
should be, like,
departments
Somebody
within
that
the
lives
town.
in town, that's, like working
Right.
towards that. That was just my kind of take on that.
I get it, but I think that the open space and recreation committee is the responsibility of the conservation. Commission.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. if
Well, no,
Hannah
I want
should
to
have-
challenge that just a little bit, only because I don't disagree with you. But like to maintain some of these things, you need to have other departments within the town do it. So whether it's, you know, I'm not even sure what departments would be responsible,
Well, DPW would be one. town-
depending on what those open space projects are. Because some of the discussions there,
A lot of it is
Completely
DPW, some
right.
of the recommendations were to create a Parks and Recreation Department.
right,
And figure out what that would consist of, so there, and a lot of it is.
and that
land
scope is so
schools or
beyond,
DPW owns,
right.
so it's super all encompassing that's in the plan, and there does need to be like buy-in from everybody, but at the same time, it's also just the committee's recommendation, so it doesn't necessarily need to be like.
Well, ultimately, what it comes down to is getting funding from DCR.
Yes, right.
And you have to have the plan updated every 5 to 7 years to be eligible for that funding.
Yeah.
And then they create this guidance document where they like don't describe how this committee is formed at all.
So this could be a subcommittee of Concom.
That was
It
what I
is,
was thinking.
basically.
We thought
Yeah,
that
it's
initially, but
currently,
the
yeah.
question that,
It's just not like formalized for like to continue, like past the the thing being published,
Right.
it's not really
It
formalized
could
in a way
fall
that
apart,
can-
it ceased to exist because you've done the initial thing, which is come up with new open space plan that's now updated.
So right now it's a drafting committee. It's not a continual committee.
Right.
Right. That's just from what I picked, because I was trying to figure out like who voting members might be, or like where you were making.
We couldn't even find an original email. I looked back and I found something from Hannah Crawford back in the early days, but it didn't talk about actually forming.
Yeah, there's no charter.
And how
The
So
plan,
we'll get some advice from town.
Well,
town.
I
mean,
got advice from the ethics committee a long time ago, like, cause I asked a question and gave them too much information. Got me a really long letter about that, and I'm like, that's not a question.
that's not what I asked.
Yeah. But I did find municipal conservation commissions are granted authority to perform, direct, and oversee the actions required in the OSRP guidance under the Conservation Commission Act, codified at MGL Chapter 40, Section 8Z.
Yeah.
So I don't think
So you
that,
definitely can form a subcommittee. My only thing was like Mike was saying, if you bring in people as voting members from either other boards, or if you're not involved in a board, do they? need
and
to
the
be-
way that sounds, it sounds like we are the issuing authority as we are the voting.
Right, so that's why I was like, okay, so do we need to kind of add,
Well, I think-
like have select board?
Well, this
I
this
think we
plan.
just have to have at least one person from the Conservation Commission on,
This plan doesn't have any policy or procedure. It's just
So-
like a town goal essentially.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah,
thought
and it needs
was,
to be signed off by like the different town boards and stuff, but that's pretty much it.
continuous
Yeah.
subcommittee with one Concom person as the oversight, Hannah. Where the lead on the subcommittee would be Dr. Rob. He'd see it through, it would not fail. Done.
well, they probably have to vote on.
And he can go,
That's the thing, like if we have specific members that are identified, then they can vote on like a chair and all that kind of, like make it like a formalized thing.
Right, but whether funding is needed for this group because they want to produce stuff or
Or
whatever.
apply for funding.
Well, I think that's part of my thing,
That's-
is so much of it is like, we don't have the funding for a lot of it, so if people that got involved know how to like look for that, that would be.
And we might not qualify for funding until we prove that something is put together and like there's
Exactly.
active
And we don't
members.
have a lot of time to put that together with.
As someone who's
ones.
like done stuff like this
Yeah.
for other municipalities, usually they work on it with a goal in mind. So they're like, we're gonna fix this part.
The open space plan is the
And
ultimate goal.
But it's a
they don't
incredibly
know the part,
comprehensive.
Yeah.
plan.
but like,
Covers everything from sport
I guess.
to.
There's too many residents
There's
on
a
this
lot.
one, so we were like.
There's a lot.
So what do you want to see us do the next step?
Well, I think right now it was just like, do we think that this is a good idea? And if I can get some ideas on formalizing, are we good with that?
You guys, are you guys good?
I think. we should
Yeah,
have one
Formalize,
conversation.
see what we need to do to formalize. The town officials, since like Dennis or somebody who knows what might have been done before by somebody else, another subcommittee that's now a permanent committee.
I had no concerns once I heard there was no policy or anything in it. It's just.
It's more just town, like figuring out
Here's
how
what
to
we-
make
here's
sure
what
that
we
they can
wanna
do
do.
this in the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's make it an open space plan.
Like justifying what you wanna do.
All right, so we've given her the thumbs up.
Justification.
Hannah will get back to us about the open space plan and open space committee. All right, thanks. Anything on the minutes? Anybody have any comments on the minutes?
Yeah, wow,
well,
What do you think?
other than. It was nominated by a member and seconded by a member.
Well, cause I don't have any notes on any of, that's what I was saying.
I'm also not even on it.
Zero idea.
Not even on.
I showed up halfway through. They got that.
No, well, I made a note of when you came
Oh.
in.
Was it?
That was why
it was
that's,
the
I did.
First meeting I
so
was
if we're
here.
gonna
No, never mind.
talk about
I
how
was here.
terrible the minutes are, I did these minutes because I was the
On
only
vacation, all my
one
days went.
kind of knew what was going on. It was from my very minimal notes, since we always have recordings of everything.
yeah.
Amber made a motion.
So what do you have?
Seconded by a member.
You know what? That's good enough.
Right.
It's
But.
not a lie.
Motion to approve the minutes?
As far as the minutes can be represented by recollection, I think that's.
That's why there's that big disclaimer at the top, but it's real.
Motion to approve the minutes as written?
Seconded.
Any other discussion about the recreated from not scratch, but close to it, and from Hannah, minutes?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I guess.
So let's, I guess it's not vote, sorry. Try again, yes, or no? Aye, okay. All right, so we have an answer, thank you. It's such an exceptional situation, usually the system's recording, or we have the regular note taker listening in and she's doing it.
No, she always does it from the recordings.
Oh, well, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds like an IT.
It was a good attempt.
I will mention.
32 and 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we still have one more.
No, we have two more, right?
700
Yeah,
Pulaski
two tiny
Boulevard.
Yeah.
So the 700 Pulaski Boulevard, is, there was some
I know.
cutting,
It's dangerous down there.
but they,
That?
no, it was,
Oh, this is
somewhere
like
the-
way
there
down
was
by
one
the car
guy
wash.
out there, he was just one
By
contractor.
Methodist, I think.
One of those.
Well, I looked it up, because I was curious as to where it actually was.
Yep.
And is it like an abandoned garage? This is what shows up when I type in.
Yep, it's an abandoned garage, so he's like cleaning the place up and he was planning to, or he probably, I think at this point, he already had a surveyor go out there, he was getting a wetland delineation done. He was thinking that, you know, clearing a couple of the trees that were gonna, I mean, there's one that was directly next to the building. So he was like, oh, like,
And there's,
can I
is
cut
there
that?
wetlands actually there?
Yep.
Along the-
Yeah, there's like a little drainage area that's.
There's a drainage.
Behind the car?
Behind the car.
You know, it's gotta run along, I guess, Liberty Street.
So there was an approved determination back a long time ago that I included in there that shows where the wetlands were flagged out. So I basically said that they should, my advice was, you know,
Stop.
they started pushing some of the stuff towards the wetlands, so I was like, get all of that out of there. And then they're going to be putting in an RDA or an NOI for that work, and then they're proposing some additional work, so I was like, just include that together, like it honestly wasn't like that
Did
bad.
you say in general while you're out? I'm assuming you asked
Yeah.
why you're doing it.
Yep,
What-
yeah.
What was his response?
He was just worried that the trees were gonna fall on there, and one of them
These
was
trees that are
directly
like-
next to the building.
He's just cleaning
On
up.
Diane?
He's just cleaning up.
Well, most of those are just they did like a couple branches off the maple tree that were hanging over. And then I think the contractor just started, there were a couple little black cherries in there that he took out, but it was really just one catalpa tree directly next to the like hanging over the building. And then a couple maple tree branches that the guy just got up on a ladder and trimmed. So I got there before. It looks worse than it is, honestly. I think it's just because everything got pushed.
Well, I think it's because the site also isn't.
It's
clean,
exactly.
So it looks.
He was trying to he took out, there was like that rotted fence that was along the back edge, so he was taking that out. So I said, just put in a silt fence where the fence was, because the ground's a little bit disturbed, get the trees out of there, and that was my advice. So they're gonna put in a request at some point to, you know, for the after the fact work and stuff, but that was kind of my advice there
Yep.
on site.
That's good advice. Cool. Put in a silt fence, yeah.
What's the handwritten?
Handwritten.
380 Love Street, is that Love Lane?
That was,
Oh,
no,
Love
380 Lake Street,
Oh,
sorry.
Lake.
That's a
380 Lake.
That's a Lake Street.
Yeah,
I looked up Love is Lane, I couldn't love it.
alright,
Okay, you streets are naming in town.
She's tired.
the email.
Okay, that's right. Tell us about Eve. Okay, good.
But 380 Lake Street, they had called because they were asking about regulations to put in a pool, because the contractor had said, oh, it looks like there's wetlands nearby. And I was like, yeah, so yes, you would need an application for that, and also it looks like there's a couple things on the property that you did without an application. And at first, they were like, nope, we didn't do anything wrong, like, nope, don't want to talk to you, and then they called back, like, and I was like, well, this is just like, okay, but we're gonna probably maybe move forward with something, so like, just letting you know, like, I just want to do a site walk, figure this out, go from there. And then they called me back and they were like, okay, so can we do that? So I figured it would be good to have somebody else out there as well, if anybody wants to attend on Friday, but if you can't, you can't. I'll just.
Friday at what time?
At 11, but it's flexible, so I could move it to, you know, around there if anybody is, you know, could do it earlier or later on Friday.
That might be.
Pick up a trailer at 9:30.
I mean, you know, I can also just go, like, I don't think it's, I wrote that I wanted somebody to come at the start when they were
Aggressive?
aggressive about it, and then, cause I was like, it might be good to have some backup, but then it was fine, so I'm also fine to get out there by myself, but.
Okay.
Just figured I would put it out there in case anybody wanted to go.
If I can make it, I will. And you said like.
They expanded the driveway.
You say 11:30 or 9:30?
11, but I could move it
Oh.
to 9. They said that that would be fine too. They were like, yeah, whatever you need to do, but I threw out that time.
I have no, keep it at 11. I have to bring my wife to Providence in the morning. I just don't know what time, so whether or not I know I won't be able to make 9.
Yeah, sure.
Whether I can get back for 11, because that's, to be honest, that's right down the street for me.
Okay, yeah, all right, so I'll plan on
I know
maybe
the
seeing
property
you there. You can make
in
it.
the room.
You might be able to.
Right for 11 too. Okay.
Heck, we might have a whole quorum there.
Why?
Just don't discuss it.
Discuss it.
Talk sports and weather, those are two safest. Okay, anything else on that one? Nothing?
I went to a tree then. I saw.
I'll give you guys a little class.
As a
A
drop.
little less.
All right.
If I could just bring one thing to your attention, we didn't discuss it during Blackstone Street's continuation because we weren't talking about me, but I did want to mention that you should be looking for the Beal and Thomas in the portal there. This is the Beal and Thomas peer review of Blackstone Street. And look for questions because we only approved. They were only approved for payment of one hearing come in. So if they came in and then we started asking them questions and they wanted to respond, there's gonna be some additional charges. Potentially for them to do that second round of stuff.
Is Lou, I don't know if he's talked to you, is he planning on requesting to close Blackstone Street anytime soon? Okay.
No, that was just, I think the planning board, they were getting some stuff started, so he just didn't feel like he needed to talk today, I guess. I don't know. I got the notification.
Yeah, we're early on licensure process. You better not want to close that before we have.
That's why I was like,
Even peer review, they would get shot down in a heartbeat
we
on
could
that.
probably do a couple rounds of back and forth with Beals and Thomas before we need them to actually come in.
Right, but even the Beal and Thomas interactions electronically, I think, I'm trying to remember the scope of their original delineation, had some limits to it. It was not like open-ended, we'll talk back and forth and then come in for only one meeting a lot.
No, I mean, we compile, I think, our clarification.
So the
Go.
point I just want to make was look through their peer review proposal and identify questions. If we were going to discuss them tonight, if we would want to not continue it, we would have discussed peer review, that's in the portal sitting there and throw up questions. The idea being formulate all our questions, we'll get them off to Beal and Thomas so they can have a much more productive one time in here response to our points if we have any questions. It's pretty, I've read most of it. And it seems pretty
I
thorough.
think this might be version on.
Okay, yeah, so anyway, just read the stuff.
Yeah. Did you have anything specific that you wanted to talk about today, or are you just listening?
Listening, learning.
Okay. All right,
Motion to close hearing?
I'm open to that, unless anybody else has any new business they need to, okay, we have a motion. Wait a minute. Second.
Second, I'll
Thank you.
second.
All right, you're good?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yeah, that's what for closing meeting, thank you very much. That's.